This is the terrifying signal of its complete and utter demonic transformation. It has been reborn, a pure, unadulterated demon, unleashed upon this ravaged world. But suddenly, a blinding, unknown beam of divine light slashes through the air, instantly severing the demon's grotesque head. A mysterious figure now strides through the wasteland, past the still-smoking, severed demon remains. Standing before that grisly, severed head, this enigmatic person lets out a soft, choked sound, a gasp of despair. This unknown figure, staff firmly in hand, stands somberly upon the desolate, blasted landscape, his face etched with grim realization. He utters the chilling words, "We were too late." But wait, his face hardens, a mask of grim determination. This isn't just anyone, folks. This is Kieran, the legendary vice commander of the Divine Knight's 9th branch. The very land around him is utterly devastated, screaming of unspeakable horrors. Fallen heroes, shattered structures, all lie broken and scattered across the ground, all bathed in the terrifying, blood-red glow of an oppressive, corrupted sky. And then, a figure bursts into the frame, scrambling towards Kieran, his voice a desperate, urgent cry cutting through the apocalyptic silence. The red moon looms, a chilling omen shattering the night. Its crimson glow paints the world in a horrifying shade, signaling the cataclysmic emergence of a true demon lord. Kieran's face twists with raw intensity, every muscle tensing as a heavy thud shakes the very ground. He and his companion advance, a desperate duo approaching a desecrated ruin, surrounded by pulsating, glowing red crystals. The demon bursts forth from here. Kieran warns, his voice sharp with urgency. "We must exercise the utmost caution." "But wait," another man cries out, his voice laced with dread. "Under this blood moon, should we not retreat to headquarters? The red moonlight pours in," a third warns, his eyes wide with impending doom. "Be vigilant." Then, a hand tentatively reaches towards the sinister, glowing red crystals, a silent challenge to fate itself. Kieran gasps, his surprise shattering the tense silence. Inside the desolate, crimson-bathed chamber, Kieran discovers something unfathomable, a human baby. Its wide eyes gaze up, innocent and unknowing amidst the horrific chaos. Kieran's shock is absolute, his very perception of reality cracking under the weight of this impossible discovery. 15 years flash by in an instant. Now a magnificent white castle, its towering turrets bathed in brilliant light, stands majestically amidst lush, vibrant trees. This is an era of fragile peace. Inside a bustling cafeteria, people gather, listening intently as an unseen speaker's voice booms through the hall. It's an orphanage cafeteria, filled with eager young faces, and the speaker reveals the absolute truth behind their serene meals. The invincible Divine Knights. The speaker concludes, urging everyone to eat with profound gratitude. Suddenly, a white-haired kid calls out, his voice sharp with disbelief. He stares at his meager food portion, a look of utter betrayal on his face. "Luca!" he exclaims, revealing his name and his indignation. Luca presents his pitiful meal to the server, who visibly flinches, distress etched across their face. Luca, deep in thought, considers his hidden emotions, then dismisses his own surprise, declaring it nothing. Meanwhile, at another table, a group of kids feast on massive portions, their plates overflowing. Luca sits alone, a solitary figure in the background, consuming his paltry meal. He looks contemplative, even downcast, as he quietly states, "My name is Luca." But the peace is a deception. A village burns, engulfed in devastating, destructive flames. Luca's past crashes into the present. As a baby, his village was decimated by a demon. The entire village burned to ash, a terrifying inferno, and Luca was the sole survivor, miraculously taken in by the Divine Knights, raised within their formidable facility. He reflects on his past, a haunting whisper, considering it strange for a baby to have survived such absolute devastation alone. A chilling sentiment shared by everyone. Luca's internal struggle intensifies, a silent battle raging within him. He ponders how his large birthmark is perceived by all, a damning mark proving he is a monster. Then, a hand reaches for Luca's bowl, an act of sheer aggression. Luca's thoughts race, considering the implications, the unspoken accusations. A lumpy, repulsive substance is unceremoniously dumped from Luca's bowl, making a disgusting splash. The person, holding the empty bowl, glares down with a scornful, hateful expression, declaring with absolute contempt, "This food is enough for a monster." Luca, the suspected monster, endures their chilling accusations. The other kids give off an oppressive aura, a palpable sense of being looked down upon, of being utterly despised. Laika understands. Every child in this facility lost their families to demons or monsters. The three kids at the table glare with intense, blinding hatred. Laika recognizes their immense animosity, their absolute disgust for him, the suspected monster. Then, a voice cuts through the tension, calling out to someone, commanding them to come closer. The drama intensifies. A new arrival, a mere flicker in time, yet his fate is already carved in tragedy. This child, barely glimpsed, becomes the epicenter of a horrific reveal. You see him, a small figure, tears already streaking his innocent face as he desperately rubs his eyes, trying to erase the nightmare that just began. But here's the shocking truth. This child's world was just annihilated, his parents brutally devoured by a monstrous entity, a creature of pure terror masquerading as a human. The horror is unspeakable, and the blame immediately shifts. A silent, searing accusation burns in the air. A question that implicates Laika's very existence, his kind, in this unspeakable tragedy. The tension is palpable. Then, the rage explodes. He demands an apology, a desperate plea for recognition of unimaginable suffering, a demand that rips through the very fabric of the scene. But Laika shatters the silence with a powerful, unyielding objection. His defiance is absolute. He unleashes the truth. I am human, a declaration meant to sever the chains of accusation, to stand against the tide of judgment. But the ultimate blow lands from the smallest warrior. The child, tears now a torrent, confronts Laika, his tiny voice cracking with an earth-shattering accusation. He screams for the impossible. Give me back my family. Give me back my mother. A plea that rips at the soul, a demand for what has been cruelly stolen. His face, a canvas of pure agony, contorts with unimaginable anger and crushing sorrow, tears cascading down, a testament to a shattered innocence. And the final brutal accusation tears through Laika. You are a monster, a declaration that reverberates with devastating power. Laika's world shatters. His eyes widen in profound shock, his mouth agape, utterly devastated by the crushing weight of the child's words. He is utterly decimated, but the torment isn't over. A furious hand launches an utterly brutal punch, decimating Laika as he lies utterly vulnerable on the unforgiving ground. The sheer force of the impact snaps Laika's head back, a visceral testament to the overwhelming power unleashed upon him. Still consumed by an unholy rage, the aggressor dominates the scene, forcefully demanding that apology once more. The fury is absolute. With a face carved from granite, etched with unyielding resolve, the relentless demand for an apology persists, an echo of unwavering, righteous fury. Laika, now utterly vanquished, lies prone, his face a chilling tableau of profound sorrow and overwhelming defeat, his eyes reflecting an agonizing, piercing pain. Then the scene shifts. We find Laika, a mere shadow of his former self, ritually mopping the vast, echoing floors of an enormous, desolate hall. A stark contrast to his earlier torment. You won't believe this. This soul-crushing, tedious ritual of servitude has consumed over a decade of his life. A decade of ceaseless, mind-numbing repetition. His weary face, etched with a deep, pervasive pain, betrays the agonizing truth. He is a prisoner, trapped within these desolate walls, bound by an unbreakable vow until the bitter day he reaches adulthood. But wait, a new vision explodes into view. A figure kneels in utter reverence before another, a towering presence with arms outstretched, dominating a magnificent, sprawling hall. What is this powerful ritual? The ultimate escape. At the tender age of 15, a divine knight's priest, a beacon of hope, unveils the fabled selection test. This is his only pathway to freedom, his only chance to break the chains. Laika declares the countdown. Only 5 agonizing days remain until the fated selection test. The clock is ticking towards his destiny. Internally, a storm rages. Laika's spirit roars with an unyielding declaration. I can no longer tolerate this place. His resolve is an unbreakable shield. His very soul burns with an incandescent, overwhelming desire to shatter the shackles of his current, miserable existence. Escape is his ultimate quest. He then asserts an unwavering, ironclad resolve to dominate his own fate and storm out of that accursed facility. His will is absolute. An unseen voice, booming with authority, formally declares the electrifying start of the night selection ceremony. The grand event is upon us. Behold the magnificent spectacle. A colossal, majestic angelic statue dominates the grand cathedral, bathed in an ethereal, divine light. The stage is set for an epic showdown. Within the towering, sacred walls of the cathedral, a resonant voice announces the crucial decree. Only those who have reached the fated age of 15 can dare to participate. Then, the call echoes, a summons for the chosen. An unseen speaker commands all who aspire to make the sacred nights vow to step forth. Young men, filled with burning ambition, procession with solemn grace through the hallowed pews, their destiny unfolding. The candidates pause, a collective breath held, every fiber of their being poised, awaiting the definitive command to stride towards their fate. The tension is unbearable. But then, the venom strikes. A man confronts Luca, his words a brutal assault, branding him a monster, utterly unworthy of the hallowed knighthood. The accusations shatter Luca's fragile hope. Luca recoils, his expression downcast, the crushing weight of the accusation once again decimating his spirit. The true test begins. To ignite the official night selection, an exquisite, ornate chalice, shimmering with a mystical, otherworldly blue liquid, is majestically presented. This is the crucible of fate. With the sacred chalice held high, dominating the sacred space, an ancient elder commands the candidates to advance, one by one, to declare their solemn vow before its awesome power. The elder, a figure of immense authority, presides over this epic ritual, his hands solemnly cradling the incandescent, glowing chalice. The moment of truth draws near. And now, the stakes are revealed. The elder unleashes the chalice's ancient rules. A horrifying blue glow signals absolute failure, shattering all dreams of knighthood. But a triumphant golden glow? That promises unimaginable knightly power, attained by drinking the sacred contents and forging an eternal vow. The consequences are monumental. He then commands the participants, revealing the ancient secrets of how to properly forge their unbreakable vows. The ultimate sacrifice. The declaration thunders through the hall. They must offer the Almighty what is most precious, what they value above all else. The price of power is absolute. The elder reveals a truth that shatters expectations. This sacred ceremony, a pivotal moment in destiny, can only be unleashed once in a lifetime. It's a single cataclysmic chance to rewrite fate. Then, a voice thunders through the air. An unknown warrior declares his unwavering vow, a sacred promise echoing with raw power. Suddenly, two figures materialize, their eyes wide with solemn intensity, gripping their watches as if time itself hangs in the balance. Our hero, the spiky white man, relives this monumental moment, the memory burning with fierce determination in his mind. He roars with unbridled passion, a primal scream of conviction that shakes the very foundations. His vow: never again will he flee from a monster. He'll stand firm, a titan against the abominations that plague their world. But wait, a galling reflection flashes through his mind. The searing, agonizing memory of a monstrous beast devouring his little sister. The flashback is a maelstrom of despair, a gigantic snake towering over his sister as he desperately reaches, powerless. This fuels his rage, his resolve forged in fire. He swears to annihilate every single monster, no matter how colossal or terrifying. They will fall before him. And then, as his vow shatters the silence, a soft golden glow erupts around him, swirling with a subtle, mystical hum. He looks up, wide-eyed with shock and awe, as the elder booms a declaration that his noble wish has pierced the heavens, reaching the divine. But here's the chilling twist. The elder ominously declares he can never run again. His path is sealed. The elder extends an offer of godlike blessing, a gift of unimaginable power. He seizes the ornate chalice, drinking deep, and a golden glow ignites around his body, a primal surge of energy. Meanwhile, a cataclysmic divine activation explodes around the young woman, her power unleashed. The man's transformation climaxes, a torrent of power dramatically spreading, engulfing and overwhelming everything in its path. He stands, a colossus of power, radiating pure golden energy as his body bulks with unearthly might. He stares at his blazing hands, amazement warring with fierce determination, exclaiming at the sheer, mind-bending magnificence of it all. He roars his declaration. Immense, overflowing power now surges from his very core. Luca, watching this raw display of power, looks up, eyes etched with deep concern. What could this mean? The ceremony surges onward. The brown-haired kid steps up, now declaring his own seismic vow towards the chalice. His vow: to wander as a lone wolf, without a family, after breaking free from the facility. A declaration of brutal independence. But here's the emotional punch. He explains his vow of solitude is because everyone in the facility is already his family. A heart-wrenching paradox. The ceremony escalates. The brown-haired kid grins wildly, glowing with golden power, radiating pure, unadulterated excitement. Then, another warrior thunders his vow, golden light erupting around him, dominating the very air. The young girl, her hand covering her mouth in raw emotion, then unleashes her own earth-shattering vow. After the young woman's vow shakes the world, Luca's eye shows a single sweat drop, a sudden, shocking reaction to the escalating power. Then Luca, filled with unyielding resolve, declares his own fierce commitment to become a divine knight himself. A destiny forged. His hand clutches the ornate chalice, his grip iron strong, as the elder issues a powerful command. The elder extends a hand, a gesture of immense significance, formally inviting the next titan to step forward. The elder commands the next participant to advance, to face their destiny. Luca clenches his hands, raw nerves and anticipation thrumming through him, as all eyes bore into him. The ornate chalice on its dark pedestal erupts in a blinding, powerful glow, surrounded by surging, untamed energy. And then, Luca unleashes his vow. With a joyful smile and eyes blazing with unwavering determination, Luca declares his ultimate ambition: to become a knight, a protector, a shield for the innocent. But here's the shocking twist. After declaring his sacred ambition to protect, Luca expresses sudden, bewildering confusion. What could possibly halt his momentum? He forces himself onward, continuing his vow, asserting his unbreakable intent to protect all people. But then he pauses, deep in thought, his mind a maelstrom of uncertainty. He collapses into profound distress, struggling desperately to find more words, his vow hanging precariously in the balance. He grapples with the silence, questioning what more he could possibly offer to the heavens. His spirit agonizes. And just as Luca struggles, agonizingly, to complete his ultimate vow, three mysterious male figures materialize, appearing in the panel. What cataclysmic force have they brought? Luca, shackled by his miserable existence, burned with a desperate hunger to shatter the chains of his current life and seize true happiness. Then, a brutal, gut-wrenching realization erupted from Luca, tearing through the silence. He cried out, a soul-shattering declaration, that he held nothing of value, that he had never possessed a single shred of worth. His desperate plea shattered the air, begging, pleading, screaming for anything, for any shred of hope. Anything will be fine, he wailed. Internally, an unseen force twisted his very being, demanding, commanding him to offer something. Then, with a guttural, earth-shattering scream, a mysterious, unholy object violently rips its way out of Luca's very body. The black collar man, contorted in visible agony, strains as raw, untamed power surges and ripples through his very core. Luca collapses in searing pain before the ancient ceremonial altar, as a pristine blue chalice begins to brim with a menacingly glowing purple liquid. As the vial, bubbling purple liquid drips and spills from the luminous chalice, Luca watches, paralyzed with wide-eyed horror, his mouth agape in disbelief. The ornate chalice violently surges and explodes with an unholy torrent of thick, pulsating purple liquid. Luca stands stunned in the grand church hall, surrounded by hushed figures. Suddenly, a wave of unease ripples through the observers. They begin to murmur, stir, and point. The elder's face twists into a grave mask of dread as he fixates on the chalice, a chilling thought echoing in his mind. I have never witnessed such a disturbing, unholy color. Then, with a commanding, thunderous roar, the elder raises his arm, decisively declaring the ceremony finished. He then barks an urgent command. Disperse. Leave this place immediately. The elder, his face contorted in distraught horror, clamps his hand over his mouth, trying to halt the chaos. But wait. Luca shouts, everyone wait. Luca, defiant, roars his declaration. My ceremony is not over yet. Luca recoils in pure, unadulterated terror as a cataclysmic blast slams into him with bone-shattering force. His arm, ripped from his body with brutal, violent force, flies through the air. Blood explodes outward, splattering profusely, painting the very air crimson. Luca howls in unbearable agony from his brutal, fresh wound as two menacing figures loom over him, their faces twisted with an unsettling mix of shock and distress. The elder, eyes wide with horror, gazes upon Luca's blood-splattered form, utterly shattered. Meanwhile, a man screams desperately for a priest. The brown-haired figure, unmoved by the bloodshed, continues to pierce the sacred chalice with his gaze, his earlier suspicions hardening into grim certainty. Laika's face contorts into a mask of pure distress and overwhelming fear, haunted by the consequences of his own actions. The brown-haired kid, his voice dripping with venom, points an accusatory finger at Laika, branding him a monster. Laika, utterly bewildered, gasps out a desperate question. What is happening? A menacing bald figure steps forward, his voice a lethal snarl, declaring, "We will decimate you right here, right now." Then a chilling, unseen voice echoes through the hall, commanding them to attack. The bald guy locks eyes with Laika, his accusations like daggers. "You are a disguised monster. Do not dare to protect him," he roars to the crowd. The bald guy explodes into a battle-ready stance, raw, volatile power surging and cracking around him. The elder, his voice laced with desperation, screams for the fighting to cease. He laments with a mournful cry. Such power was never meant for human hands. Then, an apocalyptic, powerful force unleashes utter devastation, shattering colossal stone fragments and blindingly illuminating the entire area. The unstoppable destructive force continues its rampage, goring and tearing through a massive structure. From a safe distance, they watch in horror as gigantic chunks of debris plummet to the ground, a chilling testament to the utter immensity of the destruction. Thousands of shattered fragments from the cataclysmic attack now litter the sacred ground. Laika and the bald guy cower in terror, gazing upward as deadly debris rains down around them. "What is happening?" they scream, their voices choked with fear, as a menacing crack violently spiderwebs across the ceiling above them. A grotesque, menacing demon violently tears its way out of a gaping crack in the concrete. Its monstrous maws open wide in a terrifying, silent scream. The demon lunges, extending a gargantuan, razor-sharp clawed hand forward. Its single, burning red eye locks onto its terrified target, poised to deliver a catastrophic, final strike. The demon's clawed hand explodes outwards, shattering debris into 1,000 deadly fragments. Panicked shouts of terror erupt from the collared man and other figures caught in the destructive fury. Then, the red-eyed green monster's colossal foot violently crushes the very ground beneath them. The ancient stone structure erupts in devastating cracks, a testament to its raw, earth-shaking power. As this monstrous demon unleashes pure destruction, the elder can only stare in wide-eyed horror and utter disbelief. The demon's gigantic, blood-stained hand looms ominously. A bald guy scatters desperately through the crumbling debris as a voice screams the terrifying truth. It is a demon. The beast continues its terrifying rampage, a relentless force of nature. A close-up reveals its green, blood-drenched hands, dripping with the essence of its victims. Then, with lightning speed, the demon's sharp, clawed hand reaches out, devouring a helpless soul in an instant. The elder, his voice strained with urgency, urges everyone to evacuate, to flee from this unstoppable terror. He desperately suggests calling the divine knights, praying for salvation against this cosmic threat. As the demon continues its relentless destruction, Laika watches in shock, paralyzed by the sheer scale of the devastation. Suddenly, the elder is violently struck by the demon's monstrous force. His body is propelled backward, a mere toy tossed aside by the beast's overwhelming power. Laika questions the impossible. Is this truly a demon? A moment later, a chilling confirmation washes over him. It is a monster, a being of pure, unadulterated terror. Laika's eyes widen with fear, sweat pouring down his face, a primal scream caught in his throat. But wait, here's the twist. A bald man, his gauntlet glinting dangerously, stands aggressively over Laika, who lies injured on the ground. The bald guy commands Laika to move, his voice laced with urgency. As the bald guy reflects on a past flashback, an unseen voice echoes, declaring his noble wish has reached God himself. But before he can even process it, a colossal, monstrous demon, screaming aggressively, looms directly over him. The bald guy looks up in pure terror, utterly overwhelmed. The demon extends its elongated, clawed hand downwards, a harbinger of doom, as the bald guy looks up, desperately pleading for help, his voice cracking with fear. After the monster's devastating attack, Laika lies severely injured, covered in his own blood, looking up with wide, terrified eyes, a visage of shock and utter despair. But suddenly, a kid rallies his determined companions, declaring they all must fight. They radiate immense power for battle, declaring they receive this power for such a divine purpose. The demon then unleashes a powerful attack with its palm, creating immense shockwaves that rip through the very fabric of reality. Luca looks out with wide, panicked eyes and profuse sweating, questioning what this overwhelming power truly is. He thinks he is facing death itself. The demon attacks again, its claws piercing through the kid's body. He struggles intensely against the monster's crushing grip. After facing such overwhelming, apocalyptic power, Luca questions how he could possibly do anything at all, to this unstoppable monster. The demon now feasts, devouring the corpses of the fallen kids. A character wonders if their given power, their bestowed strength, will even be effective against such a formidable, reality-shattering foe. The demon screams in pure, unadulterated fury. Its impossibly long tongue appears directly above Luca's head, a gruesome harbinger of his final moments. Luca has a sudden, desperate thought. He then wonders if he is going to die in this horrific place, his terrified eyes staring wide open, reflecting the beast's monstrous form. Injured, with blood staining his arm, Luca looks at the glowing, ornate chalice, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. The sacred chalice contains a shimmering, glowing liquid, pulsing with an ancient power. Luca's face shows intense distress and raw desperation. He firmly grasps the chalice, declaring with resolute conviction that it is fine, it will be enough. Holding the chalice, Luca urgently drinks from it, his voice ringing out with a desperate declaration. He would rather take anything at all, than die in this infernal place. And then, with a surge that rips through the very air, powerful energy radiates from Luca's body. A titanic tongue ensnares Luca, an agonizing, crushing embrace. Crimson life force cascades down, a silent testament to an unseen, brutal wound. The vital essence splatters, a gruesome prophecy. But wait, a miracle, a terrifying remanifestation. Luca's severed arm reappears, defying reality itself. Then, a ground-shattering, explosive force erupts from the very earth, enveloping the demon in raw, uncontrolled power. What a counter! Luca's devastating attack slices through the monstrous tongue, a defiant act of pure defiance. As Luca unleashes more devastating power, his very being is consumed by an overwhelming primal surge. His eyes ignite, blazing with the fury of an internal, cataclysmic power. The surging power absolutely overwhelms Luca's form. His hands instinctively reach out, as if grasping at the tendrils of consuming energy. A moment of jarring disorientation. Luca is left reeling, questioning the very fabric of his reality. He stands amidst the fragmented remnants of reality, his eyes still blazing with an otherworldly glow. He hesitantly, slowly, begins to grasp the sheer, mind-bending spectacle before him. He's been powerfully transformed. A muscular, commanding physique. But the question lingers, a whisper of doubt. Is this terrifying, potent form truly him? He discerns an alien sensation, an unnatural chill permeating his newly forged being. His entire being is consumed by an inexplicable, bone-chilling cold. This cataclysmic transformation unleashes an immense, earth-shattering power. An uncontainable, immense power absolutely overflows from his very core. The demon, enraged, then unleashes its own devastating assault. Luca plummets, a lightning bolt of sheer will, enveloped in a maelstrom of raw energy. The demon lets out a guttural, aggressive roar, its monstrous tongue flailing as Luca continues his unstoppable, rapid descent. He unleashes a bone-crushing, powerful strike from his arm. His strike is aimed with pinpoint precision, targeting the monster's grotesque head. Then Luca attacks, not just with force, but with the intent to explode. A cataclysmic, reality-shattering explosion erupts from deep within the monster's very core. The impact is staggering, sending torrents of shattered debris hurtling in every direction. Luca stands as a beacon of power amidst the spiraling, chaotic energy left in the wake of his devastating attack. But wait, a horrifying twist. Luca's body contorts and struggles in agonizing distress as a brown-haired kid watches, mesmerized by the unfolding horror. The intense, consuming energy then drags Luca upwards, a puppet to its raw power. His face is a mask of pure agony, teeth gritted as he fights, struggles, and battles against the overwhelming, consuming power. After a titanic struggle against the unstoppable force, Luca collapses, brought to his knees by the sheer magnitude of it all. The brown-haired kid can only watch, eyes wide with terror, sweat dripping, exclaiming in sheer horror and utter disbelief at the unseen, cosmic event. Luca realizes his previously severed arm is completely restored, questioning the very laws of existence, demanding to know what has just transpired. Then one chilling word: purification. He looks up, his expression a mixture of surprise and utter awe. A gigantic sword then descends from the heavens with unimaginable, earth-shattering force. It plummets directly towards the demon, a divine judgment made manifest. A white-haired, bare man sits awestruck as the potent sword crashes into the green-blue phantom, an impact that shakes the very foundations of reality. The ornate blade now stands, a monumental pillar, pulsating with its inherent, awe-inspiring power. An unknown voice reveals the chilling truth. Leaving the demon's colossal corpse would unleash a torrent of demonic miasma, scattering pestilence throughout the entire city. Then, a majestic woman in a cape arrives, her presence commanding, her words a subtle apology for her delay. She hovers above the colossal sword, her gaze piercing, directly questioning Luca about who, precisely, had defeated this monstrous abomination. The woman in the cape is revealed in a dramatic close-up. A radiant, blinding light emanates from behind her, signifying her immense power and status. Luca states the truth. It was the divine knights who had finally arrived, bringing their formidable might. The enigmatic woman in the cape, radiating an aura of absolute power, flashes a knowing smile, acknowledging the boy's astounding resilience. She declares him to be truly something else, a formidable presence already. Then, with an almost divine grace, she stands, her mighty sword, a weapon of legend, now resting effortlessly by her side, a silent testament to the colossal battle she just dominated. But hold on. Her gaze, sharp as a sharpened blade, snaps skyward, her determination burning fiercely as a colossal, golden sword, radiating pure power, descends with earth-shattering force. As the overwhelming energy dissipates, the Crimson Cape woman stands utterly illuminated, completely unfazed, a slight, victorious smirk playing on her lips, showcasing her absolute dominion. She reflects, with an inner power that shakes the very foundations of reality, that vanquishing such a monstrous entity was not merely a feat, but an epic triumph, a display of unparalleled strength. And then the grand reveal. As she stands with unshakable confidence, her true identity is unveiled to the world. She is none other than the legendary, the indomitable, the absolute force of nature known as Divine Knights Commander Arthur. Luca, completely overwhelmed, reels back in shock, his mind absolutely reeling from the sheer, gargantuan magic sword he just witnessed. Its power is beyond anything he has ever conceived. He gasps, declaring he has never, in his entire life, witnessed such an apocalyptic display of raw, unrestrained might. In that very moment, Luca finally comprehends the truly formidable, earth-shattering power wielded by a true knight. It's an awakening of epic proportions. Suddenly, the blue ponytail warrior, his voice echoing with urgency, calls out to the legendary commander Arthur. Arthur, with a casual flick of her head, turns her gaze, an aura of supreme authority radiating from her. With an unwavering, almost dismissive confidence, Arthur declares to the entire group that they are simply too slow, asserting her incredible speed and dominance. Luca's expression shifts, becoming deeply pensive, a whirlwind of thoughts now raging within him. He wonders, his mind racing, if this astonishing woman, this powerhouse, is truly the supreme commander of the legendary Divine Knights. His hopes ignite. He continues to wonder, with a burning intensity, what monumental possibilities would unfold if such an awe-inspiring personage, a true titan, were to acknowledge him. The revelation hits him like a lightning bolt. With her acknowledgement, he could finally shatter the chains of the orphanage and forge his own destiny. Even the stoic gold-trimmed woman shows a jolt of surprise, her eyes widening at the unfolding drama. With a surge of desperate urgency, Luca practically lunges towards Arthur, his voice brimming with a fervent passion as he immediately begins to speak of the magnificent Divine Knights. Arthur, ever the supreme strategist, reacts with a subtle, questioning sound, her gaze piercing through him. But then, out of nowhere, as the red-marked blue man charges with furious intent, he is suddenly, brutally struck with an unseen, devastating impact, letting out a gut-wrenching, pained exclamation that echoes through the air. This is chaos. Luca, completely unyielding, pours out his heart, passionately declaring to Arthur that he has always yearned to be a knight, revering their power and glory. He pleads, his voice laced with desperate hope, begging her to let him join. But in a shocking turn of events, an audacious brown-haired kid abruptly interrupts Luca's monumental plea to Arthur. The audacity! Luca's eye, burning with an unshakable determination, absolutely radiates his unwavering resolve to ascend and become a legendary knight. And then the absolute betrayal. The brown-haired kid, with a venomous accusation, shrieks, urging Arthur to decimate Luca, damning him as an abominable monster. A collective, shocked gasp erupts, tearing through the tense atmosphere. Arthur, her voice chillingly calm, comments that such accusations are a perilous way to speak to a friend. The brown-haired kid, unrepentant, then viciously points directly at Luca, exposing him as the sole survivor of a village, a damning revelation. All the while, Arthur, with her tactical genius, profoundly reflects on this explosive situation. Arthur and the blue-hair man lock eyes, their gazes clashing in an intense, silent standoff. The brown-haired kid, utterly dumbfounded, gasps in disbelief, expressing pure shock that a monumental transformation could occur without the sacred, binding vow. This shatters everything. And then, the ultimate reveal. Luca, now completely transformed, his hair flowing long and dark, speaks of wielding an incomprehensible, raw power, a force that could reshape worlds. The brown-haired kid, his mind utterly broken by the sight, vehemently expresses disbelief that Luca could possibly still be human. He's seen something truly monstrous. Luca himself is struck utterly speechless, his mind reeling from the sheer, overwhelming truth. He reflects, his entire being consumed by shock and absolute disbelief, stating with a profound tremor that what he just witnessed was fundamentally wrong, a violation of natural order. With a lightning-fast, almost imperceptible flick of Arthur's formidable gloved hand, the brown-haired kid is caught utterly off guard, his face contorting in pure surprise. In a jaw-dropping display of raw, unrestrained power, Arthur flicks the brown-haired kid away with devastating force, sending him absolutely flying through the air like a ragdoll. She is utterly dominant. Arthur, her voice now dangerously calm, interrogates the brown-haired kid, questioning if she had not, in fact, saved him from certain doom. She stands, her expression now etched with a terrifying seriousness, an aura of absolute command radiating from her. With an undeniable authority, Arthur declares that she absolutely does not appreciate that kind of dangerous, disrespectful talk. The brown-haired kid, now utterly defeated and in profound distress, clutches his bleeding nose, the impact a brutal reminder of Arthur's power. He cries out, a desperate plea for help escaping his lips, as he absolutely begs for forgiveness, his insolence utterly crushed. Luca, witnessing this brutal display of dominance, looks completely, utterly shocked. He is left utterly speechless, his mind grappling with an unseen, yet devastating, event that just unfolded before his very eyes. Then, with the weight of the world in her voice, Arthur begins to speak, her words holding ultimate authority. Arthur, with a decisive tone, speaks, her intention clear, to utterly move past the tumultuous previous topic and restore order. Her piercing gaze locks onto Luca as she demands clarification, questioning what he meant by not having made a sacred vow. This is a pivotal moment. Luca, his voice trembling with the weight of revelation, states that he was on the very precipice of uttering his sacred vow when the terrifying demon suddenly manifested, shattering everything. And here's the explosive revelation. Arthur urgently, dramatically explains the unthinkable. He gained his colossal power, his ability to fight and dominate, by drinking the very contents of the sacred chalice. This changes everything. Luca instantly concludes this immense energy is a knight's power, even without a sacred vow. But wait, the enigmatic Arthur shatters this understanding, declaring Luca must never obtain such power. Luca's world crumbles in distress. Arthur's gaze intensifies, demanding to know if an offering was made, demanding to know who received the vow. Luca's eyes widen, stunned into silence. He struggles, words catching in his throat, unable to articulate. Arthur, with a dismissive, almost contemptuous expression, states Luca has piqued her interest. She challenges Luca's very power. Demonstrate it, Arthur commands, asserting it will be swifter to witness it with her own eyes. Luca reels, bewilderment etched on his face, rapidly descending into urgent panic. He questions himself. How can I even perform such an action? His power transformed by itself, he insists. Arthur listens, a flicker of exasperation crossing her features. With a determined, impatient glint in her eyes, Arthur declares they must move swiftly. Then, without warning, she snatches Luca, lifting him effortlessly as he reacts in utter surprise. She hurls him into the brilliant blue sky. Luca rockets upwards, shock and confusion engulfing him as Arthur's stern voice echoes from below. He wonders, what in the abyss is happening? Arthur's voice booms a demand. Show me your power. She warns him. You will fall, and you will not be saved. The blue-haired man, watching from below, roars in fury, branding Arthur a demon. Arthur, from a distance, calmly notes the sheer brightness of the sky. Lyca plummets, screaming in absolute distress. He questions Arthur's insane actions, then the horrifying truth dawns. He will die if this fall continues. He resolves, a desperate surge of will, to use a transformation to save himself. The ground rushes up, fear gripping him, the certain impact, the definitive end. Suddenly, a massive whale with colossal wings erupts from the clouds. The sky-eater bird. Lyca's alarm bells shriek. He identifies it as a highly dangerous sky-eater bird, now in its natural, lethal habitat. Lyca, still falling, is instantly attacked by the monstrous Leviathan. The blue-haired man watches in horror, urgently warning Lyca there's no time for calm, asserting he will not survive if he's devoured. The enormous sky-eater bird hovers ominously, a sickening gulping sound emanating from its cavernous maw. The blue-haired man leaps forward from the platform, declaring he will go help. Wait, Arthur commands, a cunning smile playing on her lips. She sees this unexpected, brutal situation as a golden chance to witness the blue-haired man's true power. He grimaces, once again calling her a demon. The sky-eater bird flies in the distant background. As the blue-haired man races forward, sounds of extreme exertion bellow from the monster's stomach. Lyca is absolutely shocked as he realizes the horrifying truth. He is inside a monster's stomach. Skeletal remains float in the corrosive pink liquid. Lyca's predicament is lethally dire. He thinks he will truly be trapped forever if he remains within this monster's gut. A monstrous maw, dripping with vile saliva, looms menacingly above him. Within the monster's stomach, various fleshy, tentacle-like organs writhe and growl, causing Lyca immense distress and terror. He thought the orphanage and the divine knights were the absolute worst, but he declares dying here is an even more horrific fate. Lyca screams in agony as a phenomenal transformation ignites within him. With a desperate, explosive surge of power, Lyca unleashes a devastating blast from his fist. Lyca detonates untold power, absolutely shattering the very fabric of the air. But even this titan groans, the sheer magnitude of his overwhelming assault tearing at his very being. This raw, unstoppable energy coalesces, forming a gargantuan, swirling vortex of pure destruction. It explodes outwards, a cataclysmic detonation that engulfs the entire battlefield, leaving nothing but obliteration in its wake. High above, on a precarious platform kissing the clouds, a mysterious blue-haired man and the formidable Arthur stare into the brewing chaos. The blue-haired man demands answers, questioning Arthur's audacious recklessness. But Arthur, with eyes blazing, simply declares her insatiable desire to know the truth. Inside her mind, Arthur grapples with the utter cosmic power required to vanquish an unclassified demon, and alone, she continues to weigh the scales of destiny, wondering if this unleashed fury will ultimately serve their cause, or shatter it completely. Then, in a horrific eruption of flesh and void, the stomach of the sky-eater bird itself absolutely detonates. And who emerges from the grisly rupture? It's Lyca, bursting forth like a vengeful god, tearing through the monster's very core. But the cost is immense. He plummets, a streaking projectile, hurtling downwards through the broken sky. The blue-haired man and Arthur, high on their perch, now gaze upwards in horrified anticipation. Lyca is falling, a living missile barreling directly towards their position. He's engulfed in a blinding, brilliant light, a trail of streaking energy tearing through the heavens as he descends like a fallen star. The blue-haired man and Arthur watch, their faces etched with undeniable concern, their very souls gripped by this cataclysmic return. Moments later, the dust settles, revealing Lyca, battered and broken, splayed across the debris-strewn ground next to a skeletal, ruined structure. The blue-haired man rushes forward, a blur of motion, urgently demanding answers about Lyca's condition. Lyca, groaning in agony, slowly drags himself back from the precipice of unconsciousness. The blue-haired man looks down, a wave of profound relief washing over him as he swiftly assesses the damage, confirming Lyca is unbelievably unharmed. Meanwhile, Arthur's mind whirls with the raw, earth-shattering power Lyca wielded to single-handedly decimate that monstrous entity. She continues to process this revelation, acknowledging his terrifyingly high combat prowess, easily placing him at the apex level of a vice commander. But wait, the scene shatters. We're plunged into a devastating flashback, 15 years in the past, where the blue-haired man kneels amidst a desolate sea of ruins, cradling a tiny, vulnerable baby. He utters a chilling declaration, stating that Luca was the only child he could not bring himself to discard. Back in the present, Arthur's voice cuts through the air, remarking on Luca's meteoric growth, transforming into an absolutely formidable sight. Then, with a commanding presence, Arthur calls out a name. Kieran. The blue-haired man is revealed. He is Kieran, the legendary 9th branch commander of the Divine Knights. Kieran, his face etched with a dark uncertainty, admits he is unsure about the path ahead. He continues his somber, soul-crushing reflection, uttering words that strike at the heart. Perhaps it would have been better for Luca to have perished all those years ago. But Arthur's gaze shifts, targeting a startled brown-haired kid standing before a colossal stone fortress. The kid gasps, an explosion of extreme shock ripping through him. And then Arthur drops the bombshell. "We will take in Luca." She asserts the critical importance of keeping this untamed, unknown power firmly under their direct, unyielding vigilance. Arthur's voice resonates with unwavering resolve. The brown-haired kid's face contorts with raw fear and agonizing distress. Arthur then lays bare the brutal truth. They cannot afford the luxury of choice. They must help anyone, everyone, regardless of who or what they are. Suddenly, the very sky itself cracks like fragile glass against a blinding, apocalyptic light, as Arthur declares the grim, collective fate of humanity. She reveals the terrifying secret. Humanity has only a precious, fleeting moment left. And then, the entire scene absolutely shatters, dissolving into blazing, glowing fragments against an ominous, encroaching darkness. Flying carriages relentlessly dominate the vibrant blue sky. Distant birds tirelessly soar across this ethereal aerial setting, a breathtaking celestial spectacle. A majestic white Pegasus commands the heavens, effortlessly pulling a luxurious flying carriage through the boundless expanse. Inside this magnificent vessel, Luca rests peacefully, bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. But then, a voice cuts through the calm. Luca's eyes slowly flutter open as Arthur, with an intense gaze, asks if he is finally awake. Luca exclaims in sheer surprise, his composure shattering. He quickly apologizes, his voice a tremor of confusion. He frantically looks around, demanding to know his location, as Arthur and Kieran maintain a stoic silence. The flying carriage continues its relentless ascent through the boundless blue, expertly guided by the carriage driver. Luca now sits upright, his gaze fixed on the carriage window, his eyes wide with utter shock. Arthur explains they departed on an impossibly tight schedule, before Luca had even stirred, and apologizes for his inability to say a final farewell. Luca's eyes widen even further, a mixture of raw surprise and trepidation now gripping him. He flinches, a blush coloring his cheeks, then hopefully asks, his voice barely a whisper, if he is now officially part of the elite Knight Order. Arthur, with an unwavering stare, confirms it. Yes, he is officially sworn into the Knight Order. Arthur continues, his voice resonating with authority, declaring that starting this very moment, Luca is under the Knight Order's complete, ironclad care. Arthur confidently gestures with an open hand, a warm glow emphasizing Luca's monumental welcome into the powerful Knight Order. Luca thoughtfully questions what being under their care truly means, a flicker of doubt in his gaze. Arthur firmly grips Luca's hand, her warning echoing with the weight of destiny itself. She declares that his unusual existence means his very trustworthiness will be fiercely determined by his actions, every single one of them, as Luca listens with a profoundly confused expression. Luca ponders this intense warning, ultimately deciding it is an acceptable pact if it means absolute liberation from the dreaded facility. He urgently demands to know what transpired at the facility. Kieran explains the building was brutally damaged, decimated, and would now be completely dismantled. Kieran then reveals a devastating truth. The staff and children from that ruined facility would be ruthlessly split up and sent to live in disparate locations. Arthur then delivers the most brutal blow. Most of the children who had just formed their sacred covenants also tragically perished. Luca stares, his gaze somber, profoundly affected by the news of the deceased children, his sympathy a heavy cloak around him. Arthur then asks Luca a haunting question. Was there anyone he desperately wished to say goodbye to? His eyes widen, filled with a crushing sadness, as he deeply considers the question. As Laika grapples with the question, he looks up, profound distress etched on his face, a memory ripping through him, clutching a broken, empty vessel in his mind's eye. Laika sees a horrifying flashback of himself in the facility, then simply states, his voice hollow, that he has no one to say goodbye to. Laika urgently demands to know their destination. Arthur dramatically reveals they are heading to their mighty headquarters, located in the sacred heart of the holy capital of Alha. Arthur points towards the majestic castle now appearing in the distance, a colossal fortress rising to meet them. Arthur explains that countless knights, including fresh cadets like Laika, are stationed at this epicenter of power. Then, the ultimate revelation. Arthur explains that a calamity, a cataclysm from the mythic age itself, could erupt and shatter their world at any unpredictable moment. Laika, his mind reeling, questions this horrifying calamity from the mythic age. Arthur then directs him, her voice intense, to look at something utterly crucial. Arthur points towards something outside as Laika, his eyes still wide with dread, intently stares into a reflective surface. Laika's eyes widen even more intensely, now reflecting a bright, terrifying, unknown scene. Then, without warning, the very sky above them shatters like glass. An ancient tome explodes onto the screen, its pages violently revealing the cataclysmic past. A colossal rift once ripped through the very fabric of the great sky, unleashing a torrent of demonic essence and monstrous beasts from an alien world. You won't believe this, but at the head of this horrific invasion stood the Demon King. He was no mere leader. He was the king of that dread other world, a covetous god bent on absolute domination. From his vile being, he spawned his terrifying avatars, the celestial demons. We see multiple menacing silhouettes swarming across a chilling purple, starry abyss. The Demon King, in his twisted cruelty, further toyed with life itself, defiling the very land with his vast, corrupting demonic essence. But wait, humanity fought back. The valiant Knight Order drove the Demon King screaming back into the rift, sealing the monstrous celestial demons across the entire continent. This epic struggle, this devastating war, is precisely why humanity's habitable lands have shrunken to their current minuscule size. Arthur explains they still don't know where that horrifying crack truly leads. Here's the twist. Arthur then emphasizes that what they do know is terrifying. That infernal crack is slowly, relentlessly growing larger. They believe only the Knight Order possesses the power, the sheer might, to stand against this escalating sky anomaly. Laika, our hero, looks wide-eyed and absolutely stunned by this revelation. Arthur leans in, her voice dropping to an intense whisper, telling Laika she holds incredibly high hopes for his power. Laika, blushing furiously, questions if she truly has such immense expectations for him. Arthur leans even closer, her touch gentle on his chin, as she explains she felt a powerful, undeniable energy radiating from him. Laika gasps Arthur's name, utterly surprised by her insight. Arthur gazes intently into Laika's eyes, explaining that the light within them is the telltale sign of his magnificent transformation. Firmly grasping Laika's hand, Arthur details the explosive fire attacks of his flamed sword and the shocking regeneration of his left arm after it was brutally severed. Arthur states unequivocally that she has never encountered a power that so greatly piqued her intense interest. A deep, resonant thumping sound reverberates through the air as a tiny sweat drop falls, a luminous beacon highlighting Laika. A glistening drop of sweat lands directly on Arthur's fingertip. Arthur extends her finger, explaining she doesn't yet know what Laika offered up for his incredible covenant. The luminous drop lands on her fingertip, a silent testament to the mystery. Arthur continues her powerful statement about that immense power. Arthur then issues a direct command. Laika, you will use your power alongside them for the sake of all people. Arthur smirks, a confident, knowing grin spreading across her face, as she subtly tastes the sweat drop from her fingertips. Laika, his spirit ignited, enthusiastically agrees to unleash his power. Arthur softens, a gentle smile gracing her lips. She immediately offers him a crucial job, right then, right now. But what happens next? Laika is then propelled downwards through the sky, his expression utterly confused. He's violently hurled downwards from the carriage, screaming in shock and utter disorientation. Laika impacts the ground with a bone-jarring force in a dense forest. His eyes snap open, wide with surprise as a sudden, incredible realization dawns upon him. Laika suddenly realizes he feels no pain whatsoever. Laika stands tall, his body now emitting a faint, ethereal glow. He's absolutely shocked by his body's strange new feeling. He feels as if his very being is no longer his own. Arthur, from above, explains that those who form a covenant gain two distinct kinds of power. Special abilities like her sword and a complete transformation are known as divine arts. The explanation continues, detailing physical capabilities that far surpass any ordinary person's, which are called protection. This is the raw power unleashed. Arthur's voice thunders, revealing the true, hidden depths of the Night Order's mission, far beyond mere monster eradication. His first directive? Simple yet ominous: purge the trash. You know exactly what that means, don't you? Then a command. After the cleansing, head to the city, but with a chilling warning: don't dare deviate from the path. Luca, our hero, stares ahead, a flicker of distress crossing his face. What precisely is this trash he must obliterate? His eyes snap wide, shock reverberating through his very soul. Meanwhile, in the eerie silence of the forest, three shadowy figures, burly men, whisper of a near escape, their gazes fixed on the departing Night Order's sky carriage, vanishing into the clouds. The serene, yet deeply ominous, forest itself seems to hold its breath. Suddenly, Brown Furbeard, their leader, jolts with pure suspicion. Who dares trespass upon their hidden domain? He snarls, demanding answers, for a colossal disturbance just shattered the forest's peace. And then, the confrontation. Brown Furbeard and his monstrous crew descend upon Luca. Was it Luca who unleashed that earth-shattering noise? Luca opens his mouth, ready to unleash his truth. But hold on. Luca, our rising star, is caught off guard, bewildered by this sudden, aggressive assault. He fires back, demanding to know who these menacing figures are. One bandit, the white-hair bear man, his mind twisting, ponders if Luca is merely a lost, abandoned child. Then Gray Stubble Man, another beast, speculates on a tragic orphan backstory, parents devoured by fiends. But the villainous Gray Stubble Man's true, horrifying intentions are revealed. It doesn't matter who Luca is, only his market value. Luca's face contorts in pure, unadulterated grimace. Our hero's instincts scream. A primal, overwhelming threat emanates from these ruthless men. The realization strikes like a lightning bolt. These aren't just men, they are predatory bandits, pure, unadulterated evil. Danger recognized, Luca steels himself, bracing for the inevitable, explosive clash. Then the chilling clarity. Could cleaning up trash mean annihilating these monsters? His wide, piercing blue eyes blaze with alarm as the bandits' aggressive threats close in. And then the horror. The bandits stand over three terrified, bound children, their monstrous shadows looming. They threaten Luca, demanding his quiet submission, painting a gruesome picture of his fate if he resists. Come quietly, the bandit snarls, an order dripping with vile intent. But Luca, he shatters their command. His voice rips through the air, a demand for the immediate release of the innocent. The bandit, stunned, his face twisting in pure shock, reels from Luca's sudden, devastating defiance. What is happening? He bellows, his world rocked by this unexpected challenge. Luca's mind flashes to Commander Arthur's words. This is his inaugural mission as a true Night Order member. And with a surge of unshakable confidence, Luca unleashes his declaration. These bandits? He will decimate them. Swiftly. Luca whirls, his gaze slicing through the gloom as four menacing bandits materialize from the dim forest. The lead bandit dares to ponder who this fresh-faced youth could be, a flicker of doubt about the Night Order crossing his hardened mind. But Luca, his face transforms, a mask of pure, unyielding intensity and resolve solidifying in that dark forest. The entire brutal gang advances, their expressions etched with a stern, predatory confrontation. And what does Luca do? He scoffs. He utterly dismisses their so-called formidable presence with a chilling lack of concern. The bandit roars, declaring he doesn't care who Luca is, for this, my friends, is their blood-soaked territory. These savage bandits, fueled by unwavering resolve, screamed that their territorial claim was absolute, and Luca's presence made no difference to their dominance. Then, the enemies unleash a battle cry, screaming to get him. Luca becomes a blur, rapidly dodging the savage blows of his attackers. He vanishes, a phantom where he once stood, leaving nothing but air. And just like that, swords and even a heavy axe are left scattered on the unforgiving ground. The bandit stares, a chilling question echoing in his mind. Did he just vanish? Luca executes another blindingly fast action. and the bandits are seized by utter, jaw-dropping shock. Luca declares it, his voice calm amidst chaos. The situation is now perfectly okay. But is it? Alarm bells scream through the bandits' minds, their faces contorting in pure, unadulterated surprise. You won't believe this. Luca drops into a defensive squat, shielding 3 bound and terrified children as he commands everyone to stay back. And then, Luca's eyes ignite, blazing crimson with raw determination, as a colossal, crushing presence erupts from his very being. The bandits can only stare, gripped by profound apprehension. A bandit dares to question Luca's sudden, monstrous power as his accomplice snarls with pure annoyance. The bandit snaps out his crossbow, an arrow notched in an instant. He screams to take his shot, a desperate gamble for dominance. But Luca, he vanishes again. Just gone. The bandit's voice cracks, a desperate plea. Where did he go? And then, like a ghost, Luca reappears, manifesting right in front of their terrified eyes. He takes a low, lethal-ready stance, poised to unleash absolute devastation. The bandit shrieks, pointing a trembling finger. Luca is over there. The bandit, desperate, aims his crossbow, an obsidian projectile locked and loaded for a precise, killing strike. He screams at the top of his lungs. Luca, die. The projectile hisses through the air, hurtling with lethal speed straight for Luca. But Luca, he forcefully thrusts his hand forward, and in that instant, he unleashes an immense, reality-shattering power. Luca stands at the eye of the storm, as an explosive wave of pure power surges forth, ripping through the forest with a sharp, concussive impact. Intense, raw energy ripples violently through the very air, obscuring everything in a blinding tempest. For a split second, you catch a glimpse of Luca's strained, focused face amidst that cataclysmic power. The bandits are stunned to their core, their eyes wide with uncomprehending surprise at the sheer, unthinkable might. The colossal power dissipates, leaving behind only sizzling trails of ephemeral light in its wake. Luca's hand, wreathed in that savage, spiky aura, becomes partially visible through the lingering haze. Luca's foot lands, a forceful impact that cracks the ground beneath him with a sharp, echoing sound. He stands tall, radiating an overwhelming, terrifying power, and declares it with absolute certainty. I will end this. Luca's eyes glow with searing intensity, a streak of pure light highlighting his unshakable, deadly determination. And he adds the chilling promise. I will end it quickly. The bandits, broken and terrified, can only whisper the truth. He's a monster. Luca then unleashes a devastating, soul-shattering attack, blasting the bandits through the air with such force it utterly decimates them. They are defeated. Then a close-up. Luca's face is a canvas of pure intensity, his eyes radiating an immense, surging power. He is engulfed in a blazing, ethereal aura, manifesting with a heavy, earth-shaking rumble. His entire form is swallowed by intense, uncontrolled energy. The very ground beneath him seems to boil and crack from the sheer, raw power radiating from his being. But wait, Luca senses it. Something is horribly, irrevocably wrong. Luca's eyes sharpen like daggers, his expression hardening to stern steel. And then, a new voice cuts through the chaos. A bandit commands Luca not to move. Here's the terrifying twist. The bandit, in a desperate, craven act, holds a child hostage, pressing a cold, gleaming weapon to the innocent's throat, his eyes glaring with feral desperation. The ruthless bandit clamps down on the innocent child, a terrified hostage. His voice, a venomous hiss, cuts through the air, daring Luca to even think about moving. One step, and the child perishes. But look closer. Despite his threats, the bandit's face shatters with primal fear and raw desperation. Beads of sweat, like tiny, desperate diamonds, gleam on his brow as he shrieks his demands. That razor-sharp blade, a whisper of death, digs into the child's soft throat. The air crackles with terror. But wait, a chilling realization strikes Luca like a bolt of lightning. There isn't just one predator. Another shadowy figure lurks, ready to pounce. From a distance, 2 tiny, terrified children cower, their eyes wide with unspeakable horror, frozen witnesses to this unfolding nightmare. And then, the unspeakable happens. A brutal sword slashes across the child's delicate neck. Blood erupts, a crimson stain against innocence. A gasp of pure agony rips from the child's lips, their face contorted in unimaginable pain. Yet, through the chaos, Luca's voice, calm and deadly, cuts through the screams. He simply states, I understand. What could he possibly understand in this moment of brutal violence? He declares he will not come 1 inch closer, a promise that feels like a coiled viper ready to strike. Then, his voice thunders with an iron will, demanding the immediate release of the captive children. But the bandit, a twisted smirk on his face, digs that blade deeper. He scoffs at Lyca's demand, declaring there is no chance of releasing such valuable merchandise. His defiance shatters as he suddenly snarls, demanding to know the identity of this terrifying force standing before him. As Lyca remains a statue of silent power, the bandit spills his vile truth. He gloats about how demons had already annihilated these children's families, their parents ripped apart. He justifies their monstrous actions, claiming the children were doomed to become monster fodder anyway, so they were simply exploiting them for profit. The audacity and the depravity deepens. He chuckles about the children being sold into slavery, destined for the twisted desires of perverted rich old men, starting to detail how even these children would be much. But before another vile word escapes his lips, Lyca unleashes a slash of unrivaled speed and brutal power. It tears through the bandit's arms, a whirlwind of blades. Blood erupts in a crimson spray, a geyser of agony. The bandit's face shatters with shock and excruciating pain. With a single, decisive strike, Lyca decimates the bandit's head. It's a move of absolute finality. A torrent of blood cascades onto the dark ground, painting a gruesome tableau of justice. The bandit's body crashes to the earth, a lifeless husk, his head severed and still, a testament to Lyca's devastating power. Lyca, a being of unimaginable power, realizes his formidable abilities aren't confined to a mere blade. His power transcends the physical, capable of such mind-bending effects. He reflects on these newly unleashed powers, acknowledging their supreme utility in the face of such monstrous evil. He turns to the trembling child, asking if he's okay, but the child is paralyzed by shock, eyes wide with terror. Then, Lyca unleashes a surge of pure, raw energy. A whooshing sound like a hurricane of power erupts around him, manifesting his formidable essence. In that moment, he understands the primal fear his presence commands in others. The child, overwhelmed, lets out a piercing cry. Tears torrent down his face, a river of terror and relief. But Lyca, a warrior with a gentle soul, tenderly touches the child's head, a gesture of profound comfort. He asks, with a voice full of understanding, "Was it scary?" Then Lyca embraces the small, trembling child, a powerful protector offering solace. But wait, a sudden shift. Lyca's gaze snaps upward, his expression startled as the child clings desperately to his back. From above, two tiny figures emerge, the other children, looking down and timidly calling out Lyca's name. And just like that, Lyca, the invincible warrior, collapses. He lies motionless on the ground, his power extinguished. What just happened? A chilling silence descends, a brief, agonizing moment of stillness. Then, with a jarring snap, the scene shatters and shifts. Behold, the majestic Kirin stands tall, his gaze fixed on the horizon, radiating an aura of absolute power. His head snaps to the side, his lips parting slightly as he declares the arrival of an unknown entity. But then, his face contorts into an expression of profound alarm and distress. Still reeling from shock, Kirin roars out a warning to someone beyond a grand, imposing archway, demanding them to wait. A light brown sleeveless man and a fierce brown bob woman struggle into the paved courtyard, carrying a limp, white-clad man. And then the shocking truth. The children, those he saved, are reluctantly carrying Lyca himself. He is unconscious. Kirin, utterly bewildered, demands an explanation. What is happening here? His powerful gaze drops to Lyca, a surge of deep concern etched on his face. Then, a thunderous realization strikes him. The child, trembling, reveals the incredible tale. Lyca, in his final moments of consciousness, commanded them to seek out Kirin. Kirin commends their bravery. The child elaborates. Lyca, after single-handedly carrying them all the way to the city, simply succumbed to an unbreakable slumber. Kirin hoists the unconscious Lyca over his powerful shoulder, a wry smile gracing his lips. He proclaims that it's simply unheard of for the savior to cause trouble for those he just saved. The saga continues. Even as Lyca drifts in a serene slumber, a crushing demerit slams down upon him, dealt by the unyielding Kirin. But behold the backdrop, an epic canvas where a colossal castle, crowned with countless spires, dominates the horizon, bathed in the crimson fire of a dying sunset. A chilling, unknown voice echoes through the hallowed halls, acknowledging the sheer gravity of the moment, demanding, "What comes next in this swirling chaos?" Here's the twist, a stark contrast to the impending doom. Fran, the second branch chief, gazes upward with an almost divine adoration, a loving smile gracing her lips. Her heart practically explodes as she deems Lyca's sleeping face utterly adorable, instantly declaring she will bestow upon him a perfect, unblemished mark of absolute victory. But wait, the judgment is far from unanimous. Kenneth, the second branch deputy chief, shifts his gaze, a contemplative storm brewing within his eyes. He unleashes a scathing verdict, labeling their branch chief a complete softy. Then, with a decisive, crushing blow, Kenneth assigns Lyca a failing mark, proclaiming the man looks like a sleeping buffoon. And the scrutiny doesn't end there. Grift, the fourth branch chief, adjusts his spectacles with a stern, seething disapproval. He declares it utterly preposterous, a monumental waste of raw, untamed power, to exhaust one's strength on a mere cleanup job. What a travesty. Then Jack, the sixth branch deputy chief, allows a predatory smile to play on his lips. He finds Lyca utterly disappointing, a hollow echo of his monstrous reputation, especially after hearing he was treated like a deadly assassin. You won't believe this. Jack decides right then, with a chilling declaration, that the ultimate test awaits, eager to witness what this man will unleash next. And who holds the true reins of power? Arthur, dominating her golden throne, an empress of destiny. She suggests they are being far too harsh in their evaluation of a mere rookie, fresh from his very first mission. Then, a razor-sharp smirk twists her lips as Arthur declares the grand experiment continues, looking up and agreeing that more explosive growth is absolutely demanded for future, far more devastating assessments. The morning dawns, and the very air crackles with anticipation at the Night Order headquarters. Inside, a spectacle unfolds. A grand table, overflowing, practically groaning under the weight of a legendary feast. Every dish, a masterpiece, meticulously crafted to perfection. We're talking about a steaming, aromatic soup and a glistening, roasted salmon fillet that practically begs to be devoured. Lyca, our hero, gapes. His eyes widen in sheer, unadulterated awe as he beholds this epic spread. He's stunned, overwhelmed, his mouth watering. This isn't just a meal, it's a conquest of flavor. Then, a revelation hits him like a lightning bolt. This entire jaw-dropping feast is for him. He gestures wildly, disbelief warring with pure, unbridled ecstasy. His joy explodes. He's ready to decimate this banquet, to conquer every single dish. And then, the devouring begins. He eats with a frenetic energy, a desperate hunger finally unleashed. But wait, a maid approaches, offering a glass of water, and Lyca, caught in his feasting frenzy, reacts with startled surprise. She holds out the crystal-clear glass, ready to quench his epic thirst, offering even more. A gentle smile graces her face as she presents a tray with 2 glasses. This is service on an epic scale. But Lyca? He's a force of nature, continuing his rapid assault on the food with an unyielding eagerness. Then a flicker of guilt, a moment of realization. He looks startled at the lavish spread, almost apologetic, as the maid stands by after serving his heroic meal. And the maid delivers the ultimate comfort. Eat at your own pace. No one will take your food. Lyca's face flushes, a shy, grateful smile spreading across his features. Acceptance, gratitude, a new dawn. He gives a firm, affirmative reply, sealing this moment of triumph. The maid serves another man a refreshing drink, encouraging him to partake in this grand feast, a spectacle enjoyed by many. Lyca thinks to himself, a powerful realization. He can finally eat in peace. No one will bother him. No interruptions, no threats, just pure, unadulterated feasting. He remembers the desolate past, a broken, dirty bowl filled with repulsive, undesirable food. A stark, brutal contrast to this paradise. And a primal resolution burns within him. He will never be beaten, never be forced to consume garbage again. This is his declaration of independence. His past fuels his present. Immense joy and profound relief wash over him, a tidal wave of emotion. He's beyond glad. He's exultant that he came to the Night Order, his sanctuary, his new beginning. A deep, powerful contentment settles in, a reflection on this glorious new life at the Night Order. And what's more, he even received a new uniform, a symbol of his transformation. A close-up reveals it all, Leica's mouth still moving, still reflecting that profound, unshakable contentment. But wait, the piece is shattered. A voice cuts through the air. Kenneth approaches, demanding, "Are you Ryuka?" Kenneth dominates the space, striding directly towards Leica. His gaze is an intense, piercing stare, and Leica is rocked. Startled, shocked, utterly surprised by this sudden, powerful intrusion. Shock and confusion wore across Leica's face. From behind, Kenneth's presence is pure judgment. He silently dismisses Leica, thinking the boy looks like an absolute idiot. A battle of wills is brewing. But Leica is no idiot. His eyes go wide with unadulterated fury. His tongue flicks out, a clear sign of his simmering rage. He explodes with an angry exclamation. Kenneth, unyielding, issues a command. "Follow me." He declares he will uncover the truth. Is Leica useless, or will he prove his worth? The stakes are sky-high. Leica is a whirlwind of confusion and fury. He demands to know, "Who are you?" The man, cool and collected, finally introduces himself. "I am Kenneth." Hands casually in his pockets, he delivers the crushing blow. He is the vice commander of the Night Order's second branch. Even as 3 stunned maids watch from the Grand Hall, his authority dominates. Leica processes this revelation, the vice commander. This changes everything. Kenneth turns, walking ahead, a powerful stride, simply ordering Leica, "Just follow." But wait, here's a shocker. Kenneth then commands a startled maid to follow too. He cuts through her disguise, asking, "How long do you plan to remain in that outfit?" The maid, now revealed as Fran, looks utterly flustered. Kenneth, with a smirk, declares it's time to depart, addressing her by her true, powerful title, Branch Commander Fran. Leica is absolutely stunned. Branch Commander Fran. He watches as she calls for him to wait, insisting she needs to put away her plate, a hilarious, shocking end to a chaotic morning. Kenneth's voice booms, a sharp command ripping through the air. He demands speed, declaring the time to depart is now. Above, the Night Order headquarters pierces a flawless sky, a bastion of power. But Leica's world shatters with a gasp of pure shock. A branch commander? What colossal twist is this? Fran and Leica stride forward, their footsteps carving a path through the ancient, rustic terrain. Fran's face beams with an almost terrifying contentment, a serene smile masking untold power. But Leica, he's a storm of brewing worry, his unease palpable. Then, as Fran presses onward, Leica's head snaps back, a grim, deadly serious gaze sweeping over his shoulder. Is danger lurking? What dark premonition grips him? Suddenly, Leica erupts in a blur of pure speed, a shockwave of surprise rocketing from his very core. He shouts, his voice laced with disbelief. Fran, unflappable, radiates pure confidence, commanding Leica to cast aside all fear, to banish every speck of worry. She then unleashes the truth. They stand on the precipice of monumental tasks. An avalanche of challenges awaits. Yet their ultimate, unshakable goal is the safe return of every single soul. And then, with a piercing gaze, she demands, does he truly grasp the gravity of this objective? Leica's confirmation rips through the air, solid and resolute. Beside him, Fran's serene smile deepens, a terrifying vision of calm power. Leica's mind reels, shattered by the revelation. How could this unassuming figure, this beacon of calm, wield such immense, unbelievable importance? It defies all logic. Kenneth cuts through the tension, his voice a stark pronouncement. They are on the verge, mere moments from their formidable destination. Fran, ever composed, acknowledges this with a sharp, decisive nod. Fran pivots, her gaze sweeping over Leica and Kenneth. With a dramatic flourish, she strikes a playful pose, a shimmering star appearing above her, radiating ethereal power. Kenneth watches, an unreadable stone in his eyes. She unleashes the horrifying intelligence. On the very edge of the royal capital, a monstrous terror was sighted just this morning. The threat is real. Kenneth explains, his words cutting like steel. The damage, though currently minor, demands an instantaneous, crushing response. This catastrophic threat has propelled both him and the branch commander into immediate, decisive action. Fran fixes Leica with an intense stare, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. Now, the moment of truth arrives. They will dissect, scrutinize, and evaluate his true capabilities. And remember, she stresses, he is under the ironclad care of the mighty Night Order. She gazes upward, a storm of thoughts brewing, as she reveals the shocking truth. The other formidable branch commanders have been locked in a ferocious debate, their very words carving his fate. Luca, every nerve alight, every fiber of his being straining, finally grasps the chilling reality. This is no mere mission. This is a brutal, unforgiving evaluation. His face contorts in a mask of pure, jaw-dropping realization, the terrifying weight of the evaluation crashing down upon him. A scream of utter disbelief rips from his throat. His jaw plummets, hanging agape in a chasm of absolute, mind-shattering shock. His mind races, a tempest of despair. The thought of losing this new, precious existence ignites a primal fire within him. He roars a desperate, defiant declaration. He cannot, will not lose this life. Fran's hand descends, a surprisingly gentle touch to Luca's frantic head, a momentary oasis of calm amidst his raging storm of panic. But then, her words cut through the chaos. She harbors immense, towering hopes for him. Fran reveals the source of her expectations. She heard whispers, tales of Luca's extraordinary skills, direct from the formidable commander himself. Luca's face explodes in pure, unadulterated elation. "If that's all there is," he declares with triumphant bravado, "then this will be child's play. A cakewalk to victory." He demands to know the nature of his adversaries. "Are these evaluation opponents," he challenges, "mere monsters?" With supreme, unshakable confidence, Luca roars his declaration. He will utterly, totally obliterate any opponents. They will be wiped from existence in no time flat. But wait, here's the twist. Kenneth's voice slices through Luca's bravado, a cold, cutting remark. "Bold words indeed," he scoffs, "for a warrior who was carried home like a helpless child by the very kid he claimed to save." The sting is undeniable. Luca's world shatters. How could Kenneth possibly know that humiliating, intimate detail? His eyes blaze with burning interrogation. Kenneth's gaze hardens, his voice dropping to a deathly serious tone. He delivers the brutal, unvarnished truth. If he or the all-powerful branch commander deem Luca utterly useless, a mere impediment, he will be instantly, mercilessly expelled from the revered Knight Order. Kenneth presses his attack, his judgmental gaze boring down, his words of venomous assault. He dismisses Luca with a sneer, scoffing at his idiotic face. The disrespect is palpable. Luca, absolutely enraged, confronts Kenneth head-on. He snarls, demanding to know Kenneth's true agenda, why he carries himself with such an insufferable, superior air. Kenneth counters, his voice laced with incredulity, a challenge in every syllable. "Are you truly asking me that question?" Suddenly, Fran detonates between the two warring figures, a force of nature. "Absolutely and no fighting," she commands, her voice resonating with an unyielding authority that brooks no argument. Fran then turns, offering Luca a surprising, sincere apology. She clarifies, revealing the truth behind Kenneth's brutal honesty. It's a direct consequence of his powerful covenant. Kenneth remains utterly impassive, a statue of stoic resolve. Then, with a searching gaze, Fran asks Luca, can he possibly forgive Kenneth for his relentless, cutting candor? Luca's face twists in a storm of confusion and profound thought, his mind fixated, laser-focused on that single, enigmatic word. Covenant. Suddenly, Luca's confusion shatters into a terrifying clarity. He grasps the essence of the covenant. With renewed, furious conviction, he whirls on Kenneth, demanding to know. Did Kenneth genuinely, truly believe he looked like an absolute idiot? Kenneth, with an icy glare, immediately demands to know what Luca intends to do about it. Fran, ever the peacemaker, desperately tries to de-escalate this exploding situation. But Kenneth's words have already landed. He zeroes in on Luca, his voice slicing through the tension, asking if he has even made a covenant. Luca, caught off guard, looks genuinely surprised. He fires back, questioning Kenneth. What if I haven't? Kenneth, a master of dark truths, then unveils the chilling reality. A covenant is the very heart and the crushing price offered for power. He emphasizes that greater sacrifice unleashes greater power. Luca's determined eyes, however, betray a deep understanding. He already knows this grim truth. Then a sudden, horrifying glint of metal. A pistol, wielded by Kenneth himself, aims directly at the back of Luca's unsuspecting head. Kenneth's voice drops, cold and precise, as he begins to unveil the brutal realities of the Knight Order. He paints a grim picture, revealing that a staggering 1/3 of all recruits perish within 6 months, either torn apart by ravenous monsters or utterly broken by their crushing covenants. Luca, his eyes wide with shock and horror, finally grasps the true, terrifying nature of this place. A sudden, Urgent thought crashes through Laika's mind, wondering when this all truly began. Kenneth, deep in his own contemplation, gazes at Laika, his question a silent thunderclap. Does he truly intend to step into this abyss without the unwavering resolve to sacrifice anything? Kenneth's hand tightens, his grip like iron on the weapon, as he challenges Laika's very conviction. Fran, her voice a desperate plea, screams for Kenneth to stop. But Laika, with an unnerving calm, states the undeniable truth. It is true. Kenneth grunts, a questioning sound escaping him. Laika confirms it. He has not yet fulfilled a requirement. He has not yet properly made a covenant. But then, with a sudden surge of raw power, Laika's hand grips Kenneth's weapon. He declares that the commander took him in, providing him with good food and a soft bed, a sanctuary after he escaped a hellish facility. Laika's grip tightens even further on Kenneth's weapon, his voice burning with passionate intensity as he declares he cares nothing for covenants or any of that. He will do whatever it takes to join the Night Order. He will cling to this place with everything he has. His eyes begin to glow with an unearthly intensity as he speaks. Kenneth, his expression twisting in realization, senses that something has happened to his divine arts tool. He grunts, a primal sound of fury, understanding what has transpired. Enraged, Kenneth lunges forward, aiming his weapon, prepared to unleash an attack. Fran, her voice a desperate echo, urges them to stop. Suddenly, both Kenneth and Laika look on in utter surprise. Fran stands beside them, a knowing smile gracing her lips. She winks, then points her finger, addressing them both. Fran conveys her absolute encouragement and infectious enthusiasm for their blazing energy and unmatched motivation. She declares that from this very moment, things are about to change. Fran, Kenneth, and Laika now stand together in the dense, dark forest, illuminated by glowing auras as they gaze intently downwards. Numerous glowing red eyes pierce through the suffocating darkness. Eerie sounds, a chilling symphony, echo from an unseen swarm of creatures. Kenneth and Laika react with intense shock and profound alarm at the invisible, encroaching threat. Massive, red-eyed ape shadows begin to emerge from the inky blackness. Fran, her voice booming with unwavering resolve, encourages the team to channel every ounce of their energy into the coming fight. Fran, Kenneth, and Laika unleash their dormant powers, their abilities surging to the brink of explosion, primed for the ultimate confrontation. The mysterious purple sash man, a figure of enigmatic power, glances skyward as a razor-sharp sound shatters the silence, signaling the coming storm. A monstrous ape strikes with blinding speed, its attack tearing through the very fabric of the air, a lethal whisper preceding a devastating blow. Laika, pushed to the absolute limit, barely dodges the onslaught, a gasping breath escaping him as he realizes the razor-thin margin of his survival. The beastly monkey crouches low, a predatory stance confirming its attack just decimated the space where Laika stood moments before. Laika's eyes, wide with raw, unadulterated shock, reflect the terrifying reality of his near-fatal encounter. You can practically feel his adrenaline spike. But wait, the terror isn't over. That dreaded purple substance we saw before melts through a massive tree stump, dissolving it into nothingness. It transforms into a thick, corrosive liquid, erupting with white vapor that screams of pure, unbridled destruction. Laika, Fran, and Kenneth recoil in horror as the monster unleashes its corrosive, devastating tail. Laika is absolutely gobsmacked by the melting tree, while Fran screams a dire warning. Its poison is lightning fast and absolutely lethal. This thing is a walking death trap. What happens next? Laika stares up in sheer disbelief as a horde of monstrous apes ambushes him, leaping from every conceivable angle, a deadly net closing in. Without warning, a poisonous tail slams into existence, a blur of death, and Laika lets out a primal shout of alarm, the danger now undeniable. Laika grimaces in agonizing pain, the ape's colossal tail pressing down, suffocating him, a half-formed scream of terror ripped from his very soul. His face contorts with a burning mixture of frustration and pure, unadulterated rage at this relentless assault. He roars a defiant declaration. This tail's tactic? It's nothing short of absolute cheating. The audacity of these beasts. Fran, radiating a calm yet absolutely unshakable confidence, offers a gentle smile amidst the chaos. She waves goodbye with a warm, almost mischievous smile, her staff gleaming, declaring she's leaving the rest to Laika, who is still locked in a desperate, distant struggle with an ape. Can you believe this? Laika's face contorts in extreme shock and absolute distress, an exclamation of pure surprise torn from his lips. Friend then exclaims with chilling conviction, "There are simply too many monsters. This isn't natural." She deduces with terrifying certainty that a malevolent fiend is commanding this entire monstrous horde. And then, the ultimate power move. Fran decides to scout ahead, charging with fearless abandon into the dense, perilous forest, staff blazing, moving like a blur towards multiple hulking apes. She's a one-woman army. Laika, absolutely panicked, desperately pleads with her to wait, but it's too late. But the tide turns. Kenneth, his focus now a laser, dominates the scene, dual-wielding two formidable handguns and unleashing an explosive volley of rapid-fire shots. He then aims one handgun forward, channeling all his raw power into a single, devastating shot. Even the formidable Purple Pants man exclaims in sheer surprise at Kenneth's terrifying display of power. Kenneth aggressively unleashes a thunderous shot forward. Laika flinches back, recoiling in absolute shock, instinctively covering his face from the sheer force of this sudden, brutal assault. Laika clutches himself, stunned by the raw power he just witnessed. And then the payoff. Behind him, an ape collapses, its head gushing profusely from a perfectly placed projectile. This is decisive. The beast now lies lifeless on the unforgiving ground, utterly defeated. A chilling pool of crimson expands around it, a testament to Kenneth's overwhelming power. Kenneth, a picture of deadly calm, holds up her smoking handgun, the wisps of vapor a silent testament to her devastating precision. Laika stands, completely off balance, staring down at the fallen ape, its red scarf fluttering, his mind absolutely reeling from the shock and awe of Kenneth's true strength. The desolate ground itself bears the brutal scars of this intense, earth-shattering confrontation. Only long, haunting shadows remain, whispering tales of absolute dominance. Kenneth, cold and cutting, then levels a brutal warning at Laika. If he thinks joining the Night Order is some walk in the park, he should just observe the true power on display. She slams him with the devastating truth. He's nothing more than a hindrance, just in the way. Ouch. Laika looks up in utter, soul-crushing shock, barely registering the words, a choked exclamation of surprise escaping him. But a spark ignites. Laika ignites his very being, generating an immense, explosive power in his hand, preparing to unleash a devastating strike. Laika delivers a bone-shattering strike, sending an ape reeling from its impact, and with a voice of pure defiance, he commands Kenneth to listen. This is his moment of truth. Laika, fueled by an unyielding spirit, lunges forward with a determined, powerful action, a force of nature unleashed. His face etched with fierce, unyielding determination, he declares his ultimate, burning conviction. I have to join the Night Order. There is no other path. But Kenneth, ever the pragmatist, counters with a brutal truth bomb. Words are cheap, Laika. Show me your power. The stage is set. Kenneth still demands Laika prove his unwavering seriousness. But wait, there's no time for talking. Kenneth explodes forward, pistol locked, engaging Laika in the brutal depths of intense forest combat. Kenneth surges with purpose, pistol extended, dominating the space, ready to unleash destruction. Laika slams her sword into an ape, a mid-air confrontation of sheer, unbridled fury. Kenneth fires, his pistol roaring and shattering the ape, leaving it grievously wounded. Laika unleashes a wide, powerful blast from her sword, decimating another ape. With a determined expression, Laika delivers a crushing slash, her sword poised above, ready to cleave reality itself. Her blade streaks across the panel, a testament to her unstoppable power. Laika stands victorious, weary but triumphant, her sword still humming with power in the forest clearing. But the fight is far from over. Kenneth engages a swarm of apes. They surge from all angles, trying to overwhelm him. He plunges downwards into the hordes, strained sounds of effort echoing as they claw and grab for him. Laika yeks in frustration. Too aggressive, ape-like creatures lunge at him in the dense, choking forest. This situation is infuriating for Laika, but he recognizes the vice commander's undeniable authority. Laika realizes his sword's kill rate simply cannot compete with Kenneth's gun. Laika stands poised and focused, even as another ape lunges with aggressive momentum. Laika unleashes a mighty shout. His internal thoughts race, adding to his mounting concerns. He understands that making his flames bigger would drain him even faster. A chilling flashback. Children look down with concern at a young Laika, lying unconscious on the cold ground. He knows he would quickly burn out at this pace. Kenneth challenges Luca, asking if that was all he had to offer. He commands Luca not to space out, even telling him to find some shade. Luca's face twists in pure, unadulterated anger and frustration. He wonders at Kenneth's unending stamina, the gulf between their abilities. Luca demands to know about Kenneth's seemingly unlimited ammunition. Kenneth reveals his divine art tool, a weapon that generates bullets by consuming mana. Luca observes that Kenneth cannot lie, and Kenneth looks utterly annoyed. Luca realizes Kenneth's divine arts work differently from his own. Diagrams detail energy projection, showing both discrete shots and continuous energy flows. Luca reflects that even with this knowledge, he cannot simply make a gun. But wait, Luca's gloved hands glow with an internal, vibrant light. He considers that if the current situation continues, the result would be obvious. Then, a concentrated beam of light erupts upwards, illuminating the dark surroundings and scattering particles in its wake. Luca stands enveloped in an intense, pulsating aura, radiating unstoppable power. He has a decisive thought about how to proceed. Kenneth aims his pistol forward in the forest, his face a mask of intent expression. He wonders if Luca is giving up. Kenneth declares he cannot adjust his strategy, or even think of a new plan. Kenneth thunders that Luca does not belong there. He states he will report to the branch commander upon her return. But what about Luca's new power? Kenneth's gaze hardens, his resolve absolutely unshakable. He stares skyward, a fierce determination blazing in his eyes. And then a colossal, earth-shattering explosion of raw power absolutely detonates from the ground itself. Kenneth now stands defiant, perched upon the very pulverized remnants of the devastating blast. He gazes straight ahead, witnessing Luca consumed, absolutely engulfed in a towering, furious pillar of pure, unrestrained energy. Kenneth's face twists with a mix of shock and a sudden, piercing concern. He gasps, completely blindsided by the sheer magnitude of what he sees. But Luca roars, declaring his absolute disdain for mere tricks. He's thrown away all restraint, all thought of efficiency, even the very concept of mana cost. This is pure, unadulterated power. Luca unleashes his ultimate, unchained might, vowing to hold nothing back, to absolutely go all out. The monstrous apes recoil, their jaws dropping in abject terror, and their very souls gripped by an overwhelming fear at Luca's staggering power. Kenneth, ever the predator, lets out a guttural sound as he absolutely rockets through the air. He lets loose a primal, earth-shattering yell, unleashing a colossal, world-ending energy blast that obliterates everything in its path. This blast explodes outward, a wave of pure destruction, forcing hordes of apes to violently recoil. The energy blast intensifies beyond all comprehension. It erupts, transforming into a cataclysmic, all-consuming explosion, radiating outward with a force capable of absolutely shattering reality. This devastating energy attack violently pulverizes the very ground beneath their feet, tearing it to shreds. The apes are hurled backward, mere specks amidst the flying, obliterating debris. A ghostly glow and shimmering particles now drift eerily in the darkened, apocalyptic aftermath. But wait, from the turbulent, smoke-choked sky, Kenneth descends. He plunges, a force of nature, amidst the chaotic, scattering debris, heading straight for the devastated earth. Kenneth roars, declaring this entire maneuver utterly, unforgivably reckless. The sheer impact of the blast leaves a gargantuan, gaping crater, earth violently displaced, and ominous dust clouds lingering like a shroud of death. Kenneth absolutely blazes across the now barren, ravaged terrain, a sharp, urgent sound escaping him as he casts a lightning-fast glance backward. And there lies Luca, utterly sprawled, completely, terrifyingly spent. He is absolutely beyond exhausted, declaring he cannot even twitch a single finger. Luca, despite his state, reflects, almost calmly, on the monumental chaos he just unleashed. Then, still sprawled, Luca boasts, asking Kenneth if he truly witnessed his incredible, annihilating actions as Kenneth approaches. He brags, proclaiming he absolutely decimated more enemies in one single, devastating blast than Kenneth ever could. The ground is literally littered with countless monster pieces, a testament to his power, as Luca continues to aggressively demand his well-earned recognition. But Kenneth stares, puzzled, his brow furrowed, asking, "What in the world is wrong?" And then, Kenneth's eyes snap with sudden, chilling concern as he gazes off-panel, a horrifying realization dawning, asking himself, "What is truly happening here? You won't believe this." From the scattered, shredded corpses of the annihilated monsters, subtle, insidious lines of dark energy and debris begin to emanate. These terrifying, thread-like strands of malevolent energy sink into the very ground, a hidden, horrifying process silently, maliciously beginning. And then a single ominous, glowing thread twitches from the ground, a harbinger of pure terror. Kenneth screams in absolute, gut-wrenching shock, declaring this situation is catastrophically bad. This is a trap. He absolutely bellows. Run. Get out of here. But it's too late. Luca and Kenneth are violently catapulted skyward, thrown into the chaotic air amidst a shower of pulverizing debris, as a colossal, devastating explosion absolutely erupts from beneath their feet. Kenneth's face contorts with extreme distress and abject shock as he is slammed by this sudden, utterly unexpected, overwhelming force. They are plummeting rapidly, directly in sight. Fran, Kenneth, and Luca unleash their dormant powers, their abilities surging to the brink of explosion, primed for the ultimate confrontation. The mysterious purple sash man, a figure of enigmatic power, glances skyward as a razor-sharp sound shatters the silence, signaling the coming storm. A monstrous ape strikes with blinding speed, its attack tearing through the very fabric of the air, a lethal whisper preceding a devastating blow. Luca, pushed to the absolute limit, barely dodges the onslaught, a gasping breath escaping him as he realizes the razor-thin margin of his survival. The beastly monkey crouches low, a predatory stance confirming its attack just decimated the space where Luca stood moments before. Luca's eyes, wide with raw, unadulterated shock, reflect the terrifying reality of his near-fatal encounter. You can practically feel his adrenaline spike. But wait, the terror isn't over. That dreaded purple substance we saw before melts through a massive tree stump, dissolving it into nothingness. It transforms into a thick, corrosive liquid, erupting with white vapor that screams of pure, unbridled destruction. Luca, Fran, and Kenneth recoil in horror as the monster unleashes its corrosive, devastating tail. Luca is absolutely gobsmacked by the melting tree, while Fran screams a dire warning. Its poison is lightning fast and absolutely lethal. This thing is a walking death trap. What happens next? Luca stares up in sheer disbelief as a horde of monstrous apes ambushes him, leaping from every conceivable angle, a deadly net closing in. Without warning, a poisonous tail slams into existence, a blur of death, and Luca lets out a primal shout of alarm, the danger now undeniable. Luca grimaces in agonizing pain, the ape's colossal tail pressing down, suffocating him, a half-formed scream of terror ripped from his very soul. His face contorts with a burning mixture of frustration and pure, unadulterated rage at this relentless assault. He roars a defiant declaration. This tail's tactic? It's nothing short of absolute cheating. The audacity of these beasts. Suddenly, a force arrives. The legendary purple accent man, a young warrior with striking spiky blue hair, blasts through the air with supersonic speed, his kick aimed directly at a colossal pink object, shattering the battlefield. Fran, radiating a calm yet absolutely unshakable confidence, offers a gentle smile amidst the chaos. She waves goodbye with a warm, almost mischievous smile, her staff gleaming, declaring she's leaving the rest to Luca, who is still locked in a desperate, distant struggle with an ape. Can you believe this? Luca's face contorts in extreme shock and absolute distress, an exclamation of pure surprise torn from his lips. Fran then exclaims with chilling conviction. There are simply too many monsters. This isn't natural. She deduces with terrifying certainty that a malevolent fiend is commanding this entire monstrous horde. And then, the ultimate power move. Fran decides to scout ahead, charging with fearless abandon into the dense, perilous forest, staff blazing, moving like a blur towards multiple hulking apes. She's a one-woman army. Luca, absolutely panicked, desperately pleads with her to wait, but it's too late. But the tide turns. Kenneth, his focus now a laser, dominates the scene, dual-wielding two formidable handguns and unleashing an explosive volley of rapid-fire shots. He then aims one handgun forward, channeling all his raw power into a single, devastating shot. Even the formidable purple pants man exclaims in sheer surprise at Kenneth's terrifying display of power. Kenneth aggressively unleashes a thunderous shot forward. Luca flinches back, recoiling in absolute shock, instinctively covering his face from the sheer force of this sudden, brutal assault. Luca clutches himself, stunned by the raw power he just witnessed. And then the payoff. Behind him, an ape collapses, its head gushing profusely from a perfectly placed projectile. This is decisive. The beast now lies lifeless on the unforgiving ground, utterly defeated. A chilling pool of crimson expands around it, a testament to Kenneth's overwhelming power. Kenneth, a picture of deadly calm, holds up her smoking handgun, the wisps of vapor a silent testament to her devastating precision. Luca stands, completely off balance, staring down at the fallen ape, its red scarf fluttering, his mind absolutely reeling from the shock and awe of Kenneth's true strength. The desolate ground itself bears the brutal scars of this intense, earth-shattering confrontation. Only long, haunting shadows remain, whispering tales of absolute dominance. Kenneth, cold and cutting, then levels a brutal warning at Luca. If he thinks joining the Night Order is some walk in the park, he should just observe the true power on display. She slams him with the devastating truth. He's nothing more than a hindrance, just in the way. Ouch. Luca looks up in utter, soul-crushing shock, barely registering the words, a choked exclamation of surprise escaping him. But a spark ignites. Luca ignites his very being, generating an immense, explosive power in his hand, preparing to unleash a devastating strike. Luca delivers a bone-shattering strike, sending an ape reeling from its impact, and with a voice of pure defiance, he commands Kenneth to listen. This is his moment of truth. And here's another power player. The enigmatic slicked collar man unleashes an absolutely overwhelming attack, his presence dominating the entire scene. He demonstrates not just immense power, but an absolute, undisputed dominance that crushes all opposition. Luca, fueled by an unyielding spirit, lunges forward with a determined, powerful action, a force of nature unleashed. His face etched with fierce, unyielding determination, he declares his ultimate, burning conviction. I have to join the Night Order. There is no other path. But Kenneth, ever the pragmatist, counters with a brutal truth bomb. Words are cheap, Luca. Show me your power. The stage is set. Kenneth still demands Luca prove his unwavering seriousness. But wait, there's no time for talking. Kenneth explodes forward, pistol locked, engaging Luca in the brutal depths of intense forest combat. Kenneth surges with purpose, pistol extended, dominating the space, ready to unleash destruction. Luca slams her sword into an ape, a mid-air confrontation of sheer, unbridled fury. Kenneth fires, his pistol roaring and shattering the ape, leaving it grievously wounded. Luca unleashes a wide, powerful blast from her sword, decimating another ape. With a determined expression, Luca delivers a crushing slash, her sword poised above, ready to cleave reality itself. Her blade streaks across the panel, a testament to her unstoppable power. Luca stands victorious, weary but triumphant, her sword still humming with power in the forest clearing. But the fight is far from over. Kenneth engages a swarm of apes. They surge from all angles, trying to overwhelm him. He plunges downwards into the hordes, strained sounds of effort echoing as they claw and grab for him. Luca yells in frustration. Too aggressive, ape-like creatures lunge at him in the dense, choking forest. This situation is infuriating for Luca, but he recognizes the vice commander's undeniable authority. Luca realizes his sword's kill rate simply cannot compete with Kenneth's gun. Luca stands poised and focused, even as another ape lunges with aggressive momentum. Luca unleashes a mighty shout. His internal thoughts race, adding to his mounting concerns. He understands that making his flames bigger would drain him even faster. A chilling flashback. Children look down with concern at a young Luca, lying unconscious on the cold ground. He knows he would quickly burn out at this pace. Kenneth challenges Luca, asking if that was all he had to offer. He commands Luca not to space out, even telling him to find some shade. Luca's face twists in pure, unadulterated anger and frustration. He wonders at Kenneth's unending stamina, the gulf between their abilities. Luca demands to know about Kenneth's seemingly unlimited ammunition. Kenneth reveals his divine art tool, a weapon that generates bullets by consuming mana. Luca observes that Kenneth cannot lie, and Kenneth looks utterly annoyed. Luca realizes Kenneth's divine arts work differently from his own. Diagrams detail energy projection, showing both discrete shots and continuous energy flows. Luca reflects that even with this knowledge, he cannot simply make a gun. But wait, Luca's gloved hands glow with an internal, vibrant light. He considers that if the current situation continues, the result would be obvious. Then, a concentrated beam of light erupts upwards, illuminating the dark surroundings and scattering particles in its wake. Luca stands enveloped in an intense, pulsating aura, radiating unstoppable power. He has a decisive thought about how to proceed. Kenneth aims his pistol forward in the forest, his face a mask of intent expression. He wonders if Luca is giving up. Kenneth declares he cannot adjust his strategy or even think of a new plan. Kenneth thunders that Luca does not belong there. He states he will report to the branch commander upon her return. But what about Luca's new power? Kenneth's gaze hardens, his resolve absolutely unshakable. He stares skyward, a fierce determination blazing in his eyes. And then a colossal, earth-shattering explosion of raw power absolutely detonates from the ground itself. Kenneth now stands defiant, perched upon the very pulverized remnants of the devastating blast. He gazes straight ahead, witnessing Luca consumed, absolutely engulfed in a towering, furious pillar of pure, unrestrained energy. Kenneth's face twists with a mix of shock and a sudden, piercing concern. He gasps, completely blindsided by the sheer magnitude of what he sees. But Luca roars, declaring his absolute disdain for mere tricks. He's thrown away all restraint, all thought of efficiency, even the very concept of mana cost. This is pure, unadulterated power. Luca unleashes his ultimate, unchained might, vowing to hold nothing back, to absolutely go all out. The monstrous apes recoil, their jaws dropping in abject terror, and their very souls gripped by an overwhelming fear at Luca's staggering power. Kenneth, ever the predator, lets out a guttural sound as he absolutely rockets through the air. Luca's face contorts with an almost maniacal focus, his eyes wide and mouth agape, radiating an infernal power as he signals the immediate, cataclysmic launch of his ultimate assault. He lets loose a primal, earth-shattering yell, unleashing a colossal, world-ending energy blast that obliterates everything in its path. This blast explodes outward, a wave of pure destruction, forcing hordes of apes to violently recoil. The energy blast intensifies beyond all comprehension. It erupts, transforming into a cataclysmic, all-consuming explosion, radiating outward with a force capable of absolutely shattering reality. This devastating energy attack violently pulverizes the very ground beneath their feet, tearing it to shreds. The apes are hurled backward, mere specks amidst the flying, obliterating debris. A ghostly glow and shimmering particles now drift eerily in the darkened, apocalyptic aftermath. But wait, from the turbulent, smoke-choked sky, Kenneth descends. He plunges, a force of nature, amidst the chaotic, scattering debris, heading straight for the devastated earth. Kenneth roars, declaring this entire maneuver utterly, unforgivably reckless. The sheer impact of the blast leaves a gargantuan, gaping crater, earth violently displaced, and ominous dust clouds lingering like a shroud of death. Kenneth absolutely blazes across the now barren, ravaged terrain, a sharp, urgent sound escaping him as he casts a lightning-fast glance backward. And there lies Luca, utterly sprawled, completely, terrifyingly spent. He is absolutely beyond exhausted, declaring he cannot even twitch a single finger. Luca, despite his state, reflects, almost calmly, on the monumental chaos he just unleashed. Then, still sprawled, Luca boasts, asking Kenneth if he truly witnessed his incredible, annihilating actions as Kenneth approaches. He brags, proclaiming he absolutely decimated more enemies in one single, devastating blast than Kenneth ever could. The ground is literally littered with countless monster pieces, a testament to his power, as Luca continues to aggressively demand his well-earned recognition. But Kenneth stares, puzzled, his brow furrowed, asking, "What in the world is wrong?" And then, Kenneth's eyes snap with sudden, chilling concern as he gazes off-panel, a horrifying realization dawning, asking himself, "What is truly happening here? You won't believe this." From the scattered, shredded corpses of the annihilated monsters, subtle, insidious lines of dark energy and debris begin to emanate. These terrifying, thread-like strands of malevolent energy sink into the very ground, a hidden, horrifying process silently, maliciously beginning. And then a single ominous, glowing thread twitches from the ground, a harbinger of pure terror. Kenneth screams in absolute, gut-wrenching shock, declaring this situation is catastrophically bad. This is a trap. He absolutely bellows, "Run! Get out of here!" But it's too late. Luca and Kenneth are violently catapulted skyward, thrown into the chaotic air amidst a shower of pulverizing debris, as a colossal, devastating explosion absolutely erupts from beneath their feet. Kenneth's face contorts with extreme distress and abject shock as he is slammed by this sudden, utterly unexpected, overwhelming force. They are plummeting rapidly, directly into the gaping, colossal, fanged maw that just absolutely erupted from the shattered ground, both of them screaming in sheer, unadulterated surprise and terror. They are plummeting into the abyssal maw of a colossal beast, the darkness consuming them as Luca reels in shock from the terrifying, rapid descent. Luca's teeth grind, his face a mask of strained fury, battling the sheer, overwhelming force of their unstoppable plunge into the unknown depths. Without a moment's hesitation, Luca unleashes a devastating, raw burst of power from his hands, targeting the gargantuan creature with primal fury. But a split second later, Kenneth executes a superhuman move, yanking Luca upwards, just as a cataclysmic surge of power erupts from the colossal beast, barely missing them. Luca, reeling from the near-death experience, demands to know what monstrous horror they face. Kenneth's grim words cut through the chaos. This is no mere beast, but an ancient, insidious demon, a master manipulator that lured them into its clutches using a horde of lesser monsters as bait. And right on cue, the demon's gaping maw stretches impossibly wide, revealing endless razor-sharp fangs, a terrifying abyss ready to devour them whole. Luca, ever the sharp-tongued warrior, unleashes a torrent of biting sarcasm. Thank you, Kenneth, for that painfully obvious, utterly useless piece of information. But the truth is brutally clear. Luca's face is streaked with sweat, his body already battered and broken, his strength utterly depleted. He pushed himself beyond all limits, and now, he can't fight anymore. In a flash of disgusting speed, the demon's monstrous tongue whips out, a horrifying, inescapable prison, ensnaring both Luca and Kenneth. They thrash and struggle, their defiance burning against its crushing grip. Luca's face contorts in agonizing pain, his voice a primal roar, demanding the demon release its suffocating, vile hold. He battles with every fiber of his being, desperate to break free. But wait, just when all hope seems lost, Luca and Kenneth look up, their eyes widening in pure terror and awe, as a luminous, impossibly bright figure hurtles from the heavens, descending with blinding speed from the radiant sky. It's Fran. She plunges like a guided meteor, an unstoppable force, directly towards the struggling Luca and Kenneth, still helplessly ensnared by the demon. With a detached, almost casual air, she comments on the creature's disgustingly wide-open maw. Her descent accelerates, a blur of righteous fury, as she readies her massive, spoon-like weapon, a tool of absolute annihilation, declaring the entire chaotic scene improper, with a cutting, sarcastic bite. And then, with a speed that defies comprehension and a force that could shatter mountains, Fran swings. Her colossal spoon weapon arcs downwards in a devastating, swift attack that promises absolute destruction. With a display of raw, unimaginable power, Fran doesn't just strike, she throws a spherical object upwards with such monstrous force that it defies gravity. The immense force of her throw sends it hurtling through the very air, shattering the surrounding rock and debris as it screams skyward on an explosive trajectory. In the aftermath of her earth-shattering blow, Fran stands absolutely triumphant, a figure of pure power, at the epicenter of a newly formed rocky crater, bathed in an ethereal, triumphant pink light. And from the celestial heights, the massive, multi-limbed demonic form plummets back down, a broken, shattered husk, launched into the very sky by Fran's terrifying, unmatched power. But the carnage isn't over. Fran's colossal weapon now descends rapidly, a relentless instrument of judgment, about to deliver the final, crushing blow. With a sound that shatters the very air, Fran's weapon drives a gargantuan, damaged section of the demon's body directly into the ground, causing a colossal, earth-shaking impact. Even Luca and Kenneth, mere feet away, cry out in agonizing pain from the sheer, overwhelming force of the shockwave. Fran, with an infuriatingly calm demeanor, turns to the still struggling Luca and Kenneth, offering them a backhanded compliment. "Well done, you two, with those monkeys." Then, with a sudden shift, she utters words no one expected, a casual, almost dismissive apology. She clarifies, revealing her prescient awareness. She had sensed the insidious presence of this very demon all along. And here's the twist. Fran shockingly admits her reasoning for not intervening sooner. She calculated that the demon would never reveal its true, monstrous form if she, the ultimate force, was present. With a nod of absolute certainty, Fran delivers her final, impactful statement, the words hanging heavy in the air. Luca and Kenneth can only stare upwards, their faces etched with utter disbelief and profound shock. Because what Fran declares next shatters their understanding. She states, with unwavering confidence, their unexpectedly fast friendship. Luca and Kenneth can barely comprehend, their eyes wide with utter shock, as they loudly exclaim in a chorus of absolute, unadulterated surprise. Moments later, the chaos subsides and Luca and Kenneth stand, now strangely calm, surrounding the utterly defeated, monstrous demon tongue. Luca turns his gaze intently upon Fran, a torrent of contrasting thoughts swirling behind his eyes. Meanwhile, a mysterious white-haired, bare-chested man, observing from the sidelines, offers a gentle smile, a subtle blush gracing his cheek. Luca's mind races, processing the sheer, unfathomable reality. Fran just battled a creature of colossal, demonic proportions and didn't even break a single sweat. His thoughts deepen, his awe absolute. Fran's power isn't just immense. It is on an entirely different plane of existence, shattering all conventional understanding. A questioning sound escapes Luca's lips, a ripple of profound curiosity shaking him to his core. But Fran, unfazed, clasps her hands together, sinking into a state of intense, almost cosmic contemplation. She remains perfectly still, hands clasped, gazing downwards with an expression of serene, unwavering focus, her true purpose veiled in mystery. Unable to bear the suspense, Luca finally demands an answer, shattering the silence. "Fran, what in the world are you doing?" Fran reveals a chilling truth to Luca. This defeated demon was once a person, and she always performs this solemn prayer after shattering such a twisted existence. She then drops another bombshell, explaining that humans transmute into these abominations from overwhelming exposure to raw magical energy. Luca's face contorts, the horrifying realization visibly sinking into his very soul. But wait, Kenneth, ever the strategist, cuts through the tension with a chilling declaration. This entire situation shimmers with an unsettling strangeness. He then unleashes his surprise, questioning the very existence of a local magic energy reservoir, stating he's never heard of such a colossal source. Kenneth's mind races, battling a single terrifying question. Why has a demon of such devastating power manifested so perilously close to the capital city itself? Fran concedes that while such events aren't entirely unprecedented, the sheer improbability of this specific scenario still gnaws at her. Suddenly, the atmosphere shatters. Fran lets loose a guttural scream of pure, unadulterated terror, her voice piercing the air, commanding everyone to flee for their lives. Luca and Kenneth whip their gazes forward, confusion warring with a dawning dread in their wide eyes. The ground betrays them. Kenneth and Luca frantically scramble, their feet desperately clawing for purchase on a surface that is literally crumbling beneath their very boots. Fran, Kenneth, and Luca are thrown into disarray, reacting with absolute shock as they struggle against an unseen, overwhelming force. They are paralyzed. Kenneth, Luca, and Fran are frozen solid, terror contorting their faces as they wrestle against an invisible, overwhelming power that renders them utterly immobile. As they thrash against their invisible bonds, a chilling, contemplative thought echoes into existence. This insidious thought deepens, expressing a profound, disdainful disappointment. The thought reveals a horrifying truth. It had actually believed this very child was among its most superior creations. Then, a colossal foot slams down with the force of a meteor strike, shattering the very ground into a million razor-sharp shards of destruction. Kenneth and Luca's eyes dilate with wide-eyed shock, while Fran herself lets out a gasp of utter surprise at the source of this unseen, terrifying threat. Emerging from the dust and devastation, an unknown hooded figure materializes, radiating an oppressive, overwhelming aura of raw, destructive energy. Fran's mind ignites with sudden, horrifying recognition. She exclaims in a flash of terror, realizing she knows this menacing entity. The hooded figure gazes down with chilling indifference, letting loose a single, unnervingly calm sound, a prelude to pure devastation. Then the hooded figure's voice cuts through the air, accusing Fran of tearing his child to pieces. The ominous entity continues its scathing indictment, branding all humans as ugly creatures with deceitful, treacherous faces. Fran, defiance flaring, dares to question the very term created. The hooded figure snaps its intense gaze towards her, a flicker of confusion battling its fury. Then, in a shocking turn, the overwhelming being desperately demands to know who Fran is. Before they can even react, the hooded figure's hand ignites with a monstrous, unleashed force, striking down Luca, Kenneth, and Fran with a single devastating blow. They are slammed to the ground, utterly pinned beneath an invisible, crushing weight. Fran lets out a guttural grunt of agony as the immense force impacts her very being. Luca is grotesquely pinned, clutching his head in raw, screaming agony, while Fran thrashes, her screams tearing through the air in a desperate struggle. Kenneth, his face a mask of utter despair, can only voice his disbelief at this grim, devastating turn of events. He grapples with a terrifying question. Can even Lady Fran, a warrior of legendary strength, possibly contend with this insurmountable power? The unknown hooded figure stands, an embodiment of pure menace, radiating a swirling, cataclysmic aura of destructive energy that warps the very air. Luca and Kenneth lie utterly lifeless, pinned to the ravaged ground, completely devastatingly outmatched. But wait, Kenneth, summoning a final burst of raw defiance, glares fiercely, aiming his pistol directly forward, his voice dripping with furious contempt as he challenges his monstrous opponent. The hooded figure responds with a chilling, mocking tone, dismissing Kenneth as nothing more than a naughty child. Then, without hesitation, the hooded figure unleashes a torrent of utterly destructive energy. Kenneth lets out a gut-wrenching cry of pain, his body overwhelmed as he collapses, his weapon clattering uselessly to the shattered ground. The hooded figure then chillingly declares its intent. It will simply remake the demon, forging it even stronger than before. Luca lies utterly defeated, his body broken, his mind reeling as he grapples with the sheer, absolute overwhelming power he has just faced. Yet, even in defeat, Luca's thoughts churn, acknowledging a terrifying, impossible possibility. The very fabric of reality shatters as a devastating impact reverberates, forcing matter itself to twist and contort under an unimaginable force. This isn't just an attack, friends. This is a brutal remaking. A horrific, agonizing transformation violently dismembers and dissolves a body, twisting it into a grotesque, writhing organic horror right before our eyes. The demon's colossal form shrieks as it violently disintegrates, atom by atom, decimated by this overwhelming power. But wait, our hero, Luca, lies prone on the shattered ground, his body racked with agony, crying out in pain as a malevolent, suffocating dark aura erupts and engulfs him. He's splayed, vulnerable, still on that desolate earth, struggling, fighting against an unseen, crushing force that seeks to dominate him. His mind reels, questioning this unfathomable horror as that insidious dark energy ravenously consumes everything, devouring the very surroundings and fracturing the earth itself beneath his agonizing form. Look at his face, folks. Luca's wide, piercing blue eyes scream with intense shock and absolute terror, his very soul screaming out, demanding to know what infernal nightmare is unfolding. And from the gaping maw of that cracking, tormented earth, a shadowy, unknown hooded figure erupts with a shattering, world-shaking impact. The demon towers, now fully resurrected, firmly planted on the fractured wasteland, radiating an ominous, absolute dark energy that declares its ultimate, terrifying readiness. The mysterious hooded figure swirls with lightning speed around the colossal demon, its silent presence pondering the cataclysmic events about to unleash themselves. Then, with a sickening bone-crushing grip, the demon's monstrous hand ensnares Fran's head. It lifts her, helpless, her eyes wide with pure, unadulterated distress as she gazes up at her impending doom. The demon violently seizes Fran captive, a writhing tentacle coiling around her, its gaping maw a chasm of death, as Fran desperately struggles against its unyielding, nightmarish grip. Luca, our hero, lies utterly defeated, broken, splayed on the desolate, cracked ground, witnessing this unbearable horror. But wait, a flicker. Even in utter defeat, Luca's eye ignites, glowing with an intense, burning light. What is this? And then the ultimate terror. The demon snatches Fran, pulling her violently into its monstrous maw, devouring her whole. And Luca, in that gut-wrenching instant, comprehends the unbearable truth. Fran is being brutally murdered before his very eyes. A shattering flashback rips through the chaos, an agonizing memory of Fran's radiant smile, her gentle hand caressing Luca's face, her voice echoing with the promise of everyone's safe return, unscathed and her boundless, unwavering hopes for him. Amidst the crushing darkness and unspeakable despair, Luca strains, attempting to force out a single word, but it chokes, cut off by the sheer, overpowering agony. Now his blood-soaked, tattered legs claw desperately at the earth, straining as he tries to force out a single desperate sound. With a surge of impossible will, his gore-stained leg presses down, shattering the very ground beneath him into a spiderweb of cracks. He struggles, battles for breath, forcing out a guttural plea, urging them to cease this madness. Then, an earth-shattering roar erupts from his lungs. Luca screams with every fiber of his being for them to stop. What's this? A mysterious, hooded figure watches, unmoving, as the unfolding chaos consumes everything, their piercing yellow eyes glowing ominously from the shadows. Fran, horrified, watches with a clawed hand clamped over her mouth, barely suppressing a scream. Even Kenneth's face is etched with profound alarm and consuming fear. Luca screams again, a sound of pure agony as his entire body is racked and torn apart by an unleashed, raw energy force. Raw, untamed energy explodes from him, heralding an apocalyptic transformation. In a blinding flash of destructive power, Luca fully manifests in his terrifying, monstrous form. A primeval roar tears through the air as unfathomable energy surges and erupts from his newly unleashed body. His chest and shoulders heave and ripple with sheer, uncontrolled power as his monstrous transformation reaches its horrifying peak. His gargantuan, monstrous face splits open, revealing a wide, malevolent grin and razor-sharp, predatory teeth that promise utter annihilation. His eyes blaze with a terrifying, destructive power that could incinerate worlds. Kenneth can only gasp, a sound of absolute shock and profound disbelief escaping his lips. What happens next? Luca condenses a dense orb of pure, destructive energy in his massive palm. The pink orb man's energy orb erupts. A cataclysmic, blinding explosion detonates, engulfing the entire area in a devastating wave of annihilation. From midair, Luca unleashes a concentrated, ripping blast from his palm, striking the demon with unstoppable force, violently bursting straight through its chest in a gory eruption. But wait, the horror isn't over. Fran, now consumed by terror with wide, blood-red eyes, is violently seized. A monstrous demon hand wraps its crushing grip around her face. Luca's face contorts into a tormented expression as uncontrolled power erupts violently from his chest and upper body, tearing through him. The mysterious hooded figure watches, silent and impassive, as the dust and debris crashes back to the ground with a deafening thud. A chilling, momentary silence descends, heavy with devastation. Luca lies broken amidst the shattered debris, groaning from utter, bone-deep exhaustion. The unknown hooded figure lets out an assertive, commanding sound, breaking the silence. Standing triumphantly in the ruined, obliterated landscape, the hooded enigma speaks, telling the still-collapsed Luca that he is nothing short of amazing. He continues, his voice dripping with intrigue, commenting on Luca's impossible ability to move within the crushing, powerful gravity field. The mysterious figure intensifies his monologue, emphasizing his words with even greater gravity. You won't believe this. Luca defies all odds, rising from the ground as a torrent of raw power surges around his form. The hooded figure ponders the enigmatic nature of this power, recalling a previous, devastating flame. He questions, pondering if that primordial flame was not even of this world. Then, the hooded figure's foot descends with authoritative weight onto the ravaged ground. He finds this unleashed power supremely interesting. The red aura hood's foot lands with devastating impact, shattering the ground and sending shrapnel-like debris exploding outwards. The unknown hooded figure prepares for ultimate action. With a mysterious, gentle touch, the hooded figure makes contact with Luca's eyes. Luca's bloodshot eye, his vibrant red pupil now faintly glowing with unseen power, responds. Luca's crimson eye explodes into existence. It dominates a swirling, abyssal void, consuming everything. But wait, a shadowy, hooded figure emerges from the darkness, arms spread wide, and laughs with malevolent glee as he declares he knows Luca. This is a revelation. Then, the hooded menace unleashes the truth. Luca, our hero, has forged a forbidden pact with a god from another realm. The stakes are sky-high. Suddenly, a purple-cloaked demon materializes in a shuddering void bubble, his very presence oozing jealousy. He's envious of Luca's power, but the hooded figure strikes back with a shocking, contradictory claim, shattering our expectations. He scoffs in utter disbelief, mocking what Luca dares to offer. The arrogance is palpable. Then, his sinister countenance manifests with chilling clarity, confirming his wicked words. His eyes snap wide open, burning with malevolent focus, ready to unleash destruction. But hold on. Contrasting eyes, crackling with distress, erupt onto the scene, a visual clash of epic proportions. Then, a blazing inferno pierces straight through the hooded villain's chest. Total devastation. It's Luca. He unleashes a titanic flame, erupting upwards with unstoppable force. The hooded figure recoils in sheer shock, caught completely off guard by Luca's raw power. Luca's face strains with sheer exertion, sweat pouring down, as he bitterly complains about the villain's endless noise. The tension is unbearable. Then, a colossal impact shatters the hooded figure's upper body, tearing his cloak to shreds and deforming him completely. This is brutal. He violently slams into the ground, creating a massive crater. The earth trembles, but the battle's toll is heavy. Luca collapses, prone and utterly exhausted, amidst the shattered debris. Has he paid the ultimate price? Fran and Kenneth gasp for breath, their hearts pounding. Kenneth tremblingly asks if the enemy has been decimated. Fran reaches out in disbelief, her face a mask of shock and profound concern. A soft exclamation escapes her lips, a whisper of utter amazement as she struggles to process the earth-shattering events. But wait, here's the shocking reveal. Only a mere cloak and bandages remain amidst the debris. It was a hollow shell, a mere disguise. Fran recoils in sheer horror and disbelief at the sight of the empty cloak. Her eyes widen to impossible proportions, filled with profound shock and a terrifying realization. She gasps, questioning if this could possibly be a mere puppet. Then, the chilling truth slams her. This puppet was remotely controlled. The true enemy escaped. Kenneth reels in shock, questioning the very notion of remote control as he desperately cries out for Luca. Fran, in a moment of grim realism, declares he merely fainted, but the danger is far from over. Her face twists in deep distress, her eyes wide with unyielding concern. Still plagued by distress, she ponders the mystery of the puppet, its implications terrifying. She realizes with dread that the enemy is still alive, still relevant, his threat undiminished. A chilling thought strikes her. He was forging allies, building an army of shadows. She trembles as she considers his immense, unnatural strength. A human should never wield such destructive power. She shudders. Then, her face twists in sudden, intense shock as a cataclysmic realization dawns upon her. Her dawning realization explodes into a profoundly unsettling thought, threatening to shatter her mind. Suddenly, a yellow cardigan woman looks up in utter, jaw-dropping shock, mouth agape, eyes wild as she utters a name. The Magic Master. Fran's shock plummets to new depths as she gasps out the name Ruler Tempest, finally grasping the identity of this overwhelmingly powerful figure. The scene abruptly shifts to a vibrant, sun-drenched town nestled in lush green hills, as distant voices resonate, crying out the name Tempest. Then, a door swings open, revealing what? A young girl emerges, her face a mix of questioning annoyance, demanding to know if someone is slacking off again. And who do we see? A red-blue robed man, with flowing white hair, peacefully slumbering on a couch, a book idly resting on his face. Black Hat Girl's hat lies nearby, hinting at her presence. Unbelievably, Ruler Tempest himself stirs slightly, letting out a soft, groaning sound, the book still masking his face. Is this the legendary ruler? A young prodigy challenges the very notion of rest, questioning why Ruler Tempest still slumbers on such a breathtaking day. The mighty Tempest stirs from his deep repose, book still clutched in hand, offering a rare, almost humble apology to her. He reveals the profound truth of his slumber, a dream, an interesting dream, unfolding within the vast expanse of his mind. Now, perched on the grand couch, Tempest is visibly flustered, confessing to a discovery within his dream so profound, so thrilling, it made his very heart pound with an unseen force. But his young companion, sharp as a blade, dismisses him as a clumsy adult, lost in his own reverie. He retorts, calling her a force of nature, too harsh for this momentous awakening. Then, with a mere flick, a single finger rises, a gesture that defies all known physics. And from this ethereal motion, coffee materializes, cascading into a pristine white cup. This is reality bending. Yet, the young girl, ever vigilant, declares him lazy once more. And Tempest, the supreme ruler, agrees with her piercing judgment. He offers a rare, warm smile, cradling his teacup, settling beside her in the ancient library's embrace as their gazes pierce the heavens. He speaks of the sky's pristine beauty, a moment of deceptive calm. But wait, the world shatters. The pristine blue sky explodes like fragile glass, ripping reality itself. And Tempest, with a voice that echoes through the fractured cosmos, declares it. The age of monumental change begins from this very instant. He pronounces that something fun is about to erupt, a cataclysm of pure, unadulterated delight. Then the scene rips to raw conflict. Kenneth, a warrior of immense strength, strains under the burden of the grievously injured Luca, his comrade, his voice a desperate plea for survival. Fran, a shadowy presence, accompanies their desperate flight through a forest path, vibrant with life, yet choked with unseen danger. Kenneth, fueled by an unbreakable will, continues his grueling trek, promising the wounded Luca salvation, the royal capital's gates within reach. But Luca's eyes remain sealed, lost in the abyss of unconsciousness, teetering on the precipice of oblivion. And then, a crushing flashback. A distorted vision erupts, a shirtless, white-haired titan airborne, suspended in a moment of ultimate vulnerability, as below, a menacing black-cloaked figure dominates the scene, his laughter echoing, a symphony of pure triumph. Luca's scarred face, a testament to countless battles, shifts into a pensive mask, his mind wrestling with a past horror, pondering the audacity, the temptation of such an unspeakable offering. And there it is, the source of his torment, an ornate goblet, brimming with a thick, pulsating, malevolent purple liquid, a vile concoction promising power or damnation. The colossal castle looms, a monolith piercing the very heavens. But wait, a chilling thought rips through the air. Could Luca, the enigma, actually be bound by a pact with a god from another world, a deity from a dimension unknown? The stage is set, deep within the clandestine Night Order headquarters, in a brick chamber that echoes with grim resolve. Stern figures, the very backbone of the Order, stand unyielding, their gazes locked onto the one who holds their fate in his slumbering hands. Luca, utterly oblivious, lies prone, asleep against the table, a powder keg waiting to ignite. Fourth Branch Commander Grift, his expression a mask of stone, unleashes his declaration. If this contract is real, if Luca truly wields such power, it would shatter the very foundations of the Night Order. This isn't just a breach, it's an existential threat. Then, 6th Branch Vice Commander Jack, eyes wide with incredulity, throws his arms skyward. He booms that Luca, this impossible individual, also manifested a ridiculously huge divine instrument. A colossal flame of a sword erupts in a devastating display, a testament to raw, unchecked power. Jack, always pragmatic, concedes that this individual seems incredibly useful, a true force to be reckoned with. Kieran, ever the realist, agrees with this terrifying assessment. His gaze descends, piercing, as he states the boy has proven himself an invaluable asset in battle, a whirlwind of destruction until this very moment. But 9th Branch Commander Kieran, ever the skeptic, cuts through the tension with a sharp retort. He argues that trusting the words of an unidentified man is nothing short of absurd, a path to utter chaos. Gavin then delivers his own devastating blow. The report, he declares, suggests the man might be a magic master, a risk too colossal for an organization that demands zero uncertain elements. Vice Commander Gavin continues his relentless, stern speech, arguing that Luca and his unknown power only sow chaos, only breed instability. Gavin's intense blue eye blazes, highlighting his unwavering, unyielding resolve. Suddenly Arthur, her expression grave and focused, calls out to Fran, demanding her input. Arthur sternly asks Fran for her opinion as a detached observer, seeking truth amidst the storm. Fran clasps her hands, a nervous tremor running through her as she looks away, her expression a mix of worry and deep thought. Fran, with an intense and troubled expression, remembers how she and Kenneth were utterly paralyzed, unable to move a muscle in the face of that overwhelming power. She realizes, with a dawning horror, that only one person, one single being, could stand against that man, Luca. Fran knows, deep in her gut, they would have been annihilated if Luca had not intervened. Yet a new, terrifying thought emerges in Fran's mind. She wonders about Luca's uncontrolled power, a force of nature unleashed. Fran realizes, with a sickening lurch, that such immense power will not, be fully controlled. Gavin, hearing the chilling report, elaborates further. He explains that the kid collapses from sheer exhaustion every single time he uses his devastating power. Gavin's face twists with weary pain as he questions if the report could truly be real. He wonders, how could any of this be considered under control? It's a catastrophe waiting to happen. Arthur looks down in deep contemplation, acknowledging the sheer gravity of the situation. A chilling thought solidifies. They must know if Luca can control his own power, if he is a master or a slave to his own destructive force. The discussion rages on, focusing on one critical point. Is he a suitable fit for the Night Order? If they can determine this, if they can somehow tame this wild force, then, and only then, might everything be well. Kieran, Fran, Grift, and Jack stand in a silent council, the weight of their decision pressing down. Arthur finally addresses Gavin, stating she is taking all prior discussions, all the fear and doubt, into consideration. Arthur then turns, her gaze unwavering, directly addressing Gavin. She demands to know what it would take to convince him, Gavin, whose intense expression speaks volumes of his resolve. Gavin, his expression stern and unyielding, speaks of the ultimate test, the trial of the guarded flame. He observes something intently, a flicker of an idea, while reflecting on this brutal trial. Gavin declares, with absolute certainty, that passing the trial is the absolute minimum requirement, a non-negotiable threshold. Fran and Kieran react instantly, their faces contorting with visible shock and utter surprise. Fran then begins to exclaim, her thoughts spilling out, a cascade of disbelief and terror. Arthur's iron will reverberates, a chilling decree that shatters the silence. He commands Jack, the unrivaled master of healing, to unleash his miraculous powers, to mend what was broken. Luca lies upon the sacred healing table, his ravaged form absorbing Jack's ethereal touch. Jack, his movements precise, murmurs a potent incantation as Kieran and Fran, silent observers, witness the impossible resurrection. But wait! A grim declaration from Arthur slices through the air, his voice like cold steel. They are sending Luca to the very depths of hell. A subtle, dangerous smile plays upon Arthur's lips, a terrifying hint of the grand, brutal strategy unfolding. Then a voice, sharp and commanding, cuts through the tension, ordering an unseen operative to patch him up, leaving no wound unsealed, no power unchecked. Luca lies, utterly unconscious, a pawn in a game far grander than he can comprehend. Hours become eternity as the cosmic clock ticks on. Suddenly, a maelstrom erupts. Violent chaos, a tempest of searing red and corrupted purple, explodes across the dark void, devouring everything in its path. Through the inferno, Luca's form appears, his teeth gritted, his every muscle strained in an agonizing, desperate exertion. Then a chilling, disembodied laugh tears through the darkness, an echo of pure malevolence. The voice speaks, suddenly alight with a terrible, dawning realization. And what a revelation! The ethereal voice booms, shattering the silence with the truth. A contract, a pact of unimaginable power, forged with a god from a world beyond their own dimension. The very fabric of reality twists. The scene detonates into a deep red, infernal landscape, broken structures dissolving amidst glowing red fragments. The unseen entity, its power absolute, screams the truth. This god, this cosmic titan, hails from another world. The overwhelming crimson inferno intensifies, scorching the very soul. The unseen entity roars, its declaration echoing through the void. It is a god. Amidst this unending, destructive scarlet dominion, the unseen speaker pauses, a calculated, terrifying silence. The infernal red light now reveals even more distinct, colossal shattered structures, monuments to a forgotten, annihilated past. What happens next? The unseen entity, a being of immense cosmic power, voices its utter disbelief regarding the offering. The blinding red light scorches the scene, illuminating catastrophic destruction, as the entity repeats its disbelief, spitting out its disdain. The offering was merely something like that. An insult, then a cosmic horror. A powerful, crescent-shaped eye rips into existence, a terrifying harbinger of the unseen speaker's ominous, overwhelming presence. Faint red glowing symbols shimmer through the dark, oppressive abyss as the entity, its rage palpable, expresses its profound disgust. Luca, against all odds, demands answers. He challenges the void, questioning what this monstrous, unseen presence truly is. The pressure becomes too much. Luca, pushed to his absolute breaking point, unleashes a desperate shout, commanding the terrifying entity to be quiet. His scream rips through the cosmos. Luca's face contorts in an explosion of pure agony, his body caught in a chaotic, unspeakable struggle. And then a jarring shift. After that cosmic torment, Luca abruptly jolts awake in a bed, confusion clouding his gaze as he confronts alien surroundings. Nearby, Kenneth, serene, holds a mysterious red book, observing Luca's miraculous return. Kenneth, calm and collected, delivers the simple truth. Luca is finally awake. Luca, still tethered to the bed, turns his dazed head, his eyes struggling to focus on Kenneth. Kenneth remains, a picture of serene composure, clutching the enigmatic red book, her face now clearly revealed, radiating an unspoken power. She reveals a shocking detail. Even Luca, a being of immense resilience, required advanced healing techniques to pull him back from the abyss. A pointed question cuts through the air. Kenneth challenges Luca, asking just how long he planned to stay unconscious. The implication is staggering. Luca has been lost to the darkness for an unfathomable amount of time. The vastness of time passes under a breathtaking, star-strewn night sky, marking the passage of moments and memories. Luca, ever the strategist, masterfully pivots the conversation, shifting the focus. He demands answers about another man, his thoughts clearly on a different powerful ally. Kenneth, with calm authority, reassures Luca that the chaos has subsided, that everything is, against all odds, okay. She confirms the ultimate truth. The immediate, soul-shattering danger has passed for Luca. But wait, a subtle shift. Kenneth looks down, a flicker of trouble in her eyes, a faint blush creeping across her cheeks. What could this mean? Kenneth, still reeling from the aftermath, can only manage a hesitant, almost imperceptible sound, her usual composure shattered. Luca, with razor-sharp intuition, immediately declares Kenneth's inability to deceive, then dismisses it with an almost casual flick of his wrist. But the sheer force of Luca's observation leaves Kenneth utterly flustered, his composure shattered. Still reeling, Kenneth manages to stammer out his gratitude. Then, a new figure emerges, and Kenneth's face shifts to a neutral mask as Luca's expression twists into pure shock. Kieran, a titan of authority, stands absolutely resolute, his gaze fixed straight ahead. A stern, weary, battle-hardened expression dominates his features. Luca, struck by the gravity of the moment, identifies this formidable presence. Branch Commander Kieran himself. Kieran, ever the picture of grim duty, offers a curt apology for daring to disturb Luca's vital recovery. But here's the bombshell. Kieran unleashes a declaration. A monumental decision regarding Luca's future has been forged. Luca, reeling, immediately demands to know the fate that awaits him. In the study's hushed intensity, a scarred warrior sits bolt upright in bed, etched with concern, as a startled Kenneth in a high collar sits frozen nearby. Kieran, with unwavering resolve, reiterates the decree. Luca's destiny has been irrevocably decided. Luca's face is a canvas of pure, unadulterated shock as Kieran drops the ultimate bomb. Luca is to undergo the legendary, the terrifying, the trial of the guarded flame. Kenneth, utterly consumed by wide-eyed disbelief, explodes in a desperate, disbelieving cry. Luca, overwhelmed by a storm of surprise and confusion, barely manages to utter the question. What is a trial? But Kenneth, in a paroxysm of distraught frustration, erupts from beside the bed. He violently opposes this insane trial, screaming that it's an act of utter recklessness for someone so new, so utterly unseasoned. Kieran, his finger like a spear of destiny, points with grim finality and declares with chilling seriousness. He is the official, the absolute, administrator of this devastating trial. Luca, still adrift in a sea of confusion, confesses his absolute inability to grasp the terrifying reality unfolding around him. Then, a flicker of hope, or perhaps desperation, ignites in Luca's mind. He begins to consider the unthinkable. What if he passes this impossible trial? Could passing this ultimate test elevate him, formally recognizing him as a true, full-fledged member of the legendary Knight Order? But Kenneth, with a shockwave of exasperation, slams down on Luca's naive, innocent question. With a guttural roar, he brands Luca an idiot. Kenneth, now forced into a grim exposition, formally unveils the true, terrifying nature of the trial of the guarded flame. He explains, with chilling precision, that this isn't just a test. It's the crucible to forge an executive candidate. He continues, detailing the trial's utterly rigorous, soul-crushing requirements. Normally, mere attempts require a torrent of recommendations. He reveals that 2 or more absolute branch commanders are the minimum required just to even dream of taking it. And these recommendations, he clarifies, are forged in the fires of vast work experience and monumental achievements. Then, with a sudden, searing intensity, Kenneth pivots, directly confronting Luca. He erupts in sheer disbelief. Luca, who has only just received the ethereal power of divine magic, is being condemned to this trial. It's an outrage. Kenneth, his voice dripping with dread, brands the trial for Luca as nothing short of a literal execution. Luca, hit with the full force of this horrifying truth, recoils in startled concern, cold sweat beating intensely on his brow. Kieran, a monolith of stern resolve, issues a chilling warning. Luca dares not take this monumental exam lightly. He reveals the grim statistics. An elite few pass, but 1/3 of all failures descend into madness, their minds utterly shattered by the sheer, crushing difficulty. Then, with an ominous, soul-freezing, or else, Kieran delivers the ultimate pronouncement. Luca will die. What happens next? Kieran states the impossible truth. If Luca wishes to live, he must challenge this trial as if he is already prepared to embrace death itself. Kenneth, seeing Luca's utterly dejected, broken form in the background, turns his head, his voice ringing out in desperate concern. Luca, trapped in the eye of this impossible storm, muses on the sheer, overwhelming difficulty, admitting he still cannot fully comprehend the nightmare engulfing him. But then, a steel resolve ignites within him. Luca internally swears to take this critical, life-altering step, convinced this is his final, his only remaining option. He makes the ultimate, bone-chilling decision. Luca will risk his very life. He resolves, with a fierce, burning passion, to unleash everything he possesses into this trial. 5 days later, the day of reckoning arrives. Kieran and Luca stand, poised and grim, outside the mouth of a foreboding cave, the gateway to judgment. Kieran, with a commanding presence, begins to reveal the trial's brutal secrets to Luca. He declares, with 2 raised fingers emphasizing the chilling weight of his words, that this trial is comprised of 2 colossal, utterly devastating parts. Kieran unleashes the brutal first part of the trial. You must survive inside this desolate, crushing cave for 3 agonizing days. But wait, what's next? Luca, ever the challenger, demands to know the next impossible hurdle. Kieran sweeps his hand, unveiling the true terror of the second trial, a revelation that shatters Luca's composure, leaving him utterly dumbfounded and reeling. And then, the ultimate enigma appears. Kieran gently, yet with gravitas, places down a seemingly innocent small white candle. You won't believe this twist. Luca, his mind racing, can only stutter out the obvious. Is this a mere candle? Kieran's command reverberates. Pour your unleashed power into it, Luca. Unleash your true might. Luca clenches the fragile candle, forcing his raw, untamed power to surge through his veins and flood into the object with immense, palpable effort. Then, in a blinding flash of pure energy, the candle explodes. It doesn't just light. It erupts with a colossal, roaring inferno, making Luca stagger back in sheer, unadulterated shock. It's incinerating, he cries out, the heat scorching the very air around him. Kieran's voice cuts through the searing heat, his instructions sharp and decisive. Luca's mission: maintain this blazing beacon, ensure this sacred flame never falters, never dims. For 3 grueling, agonizing days, Luca must shield this volatile inferno with his very life. Luca's eyes widen in dawning horror as the monumental weight of this impossible task crashes down upon him. Protect the flame? Luca demands, his voice laced with disbelief and growing dread. And here's the ultimate terror, the bone-chilling revelation. Kieran delivers the gravest warning. This very flame, this blazing inferno, will lure, attract, and summon the most grotesque, bloodthirsty monsters from the deepest abysses of this cave. Luca is absolutely floored, his entire being consumed by a wave of pure, paralyzing shock at the mention of hordes of encroaching beasts. Kieran's voice cracks with a desperate urgency, a final, chilling plea. Luca, do not succumb, do not perish. And with that dire warning, that impossible burden, the grueling, life-or-death trial explodes into existence. A single, ominous drop of water descends into the crushing void. It detonates upon an unseen surface, unleashing terrifying ripples and an ancient, resonating hum that vibrates through existence itself. Then, a solitary beacon pierces the abyss. Luca's hand, unwavering, clutches a pristine white candle, its flame a defiant speck against infinite darkness. That single, flickering inferno courageously pushes back the encroaching shadows, revealing the immediate, suffocating darkness. Suddenly, Luca's form emerges. He stands, an island of light, within a monumental pitch-black cavern. His candle, a fragile shield, casts a pathetic glow into the abyss. He dares to break the silence with a cautious sound, and an unseen horror answers, a chilling echo that devours hope. The sheer oppressive weight of the air, thick with dread, crushes Laika's lungs. He fights for every agonizing breath. But wait, a new player enters the scene. The legendary blue hair man gazes upwards, his eyes piercing the illusion. He recognizes the suffocating density around him. This isn't just air, people. This is a tidal wave of pure, raw magic essence. This desolate cavern isn't just any cave. It's an epicenter. A nexus of arcane power, where magic essence runs so thick it's practically liquid, dwarfing even the already volatile north. And what does that mean? An unfathomable swarm of monstrous abominations lurks within, powered by this very essence, ready to unleash total annihilation. Then the enigmatic Kirin, a master of fate, raises two ominous fingers, his gaze locked on Laika. Two impossible tasks, two crushing burdens, are thrust upon our hero. Task number 1, survive. For 3 grueling, blood-soaked days, Laika must endure this hellish dungeon, teeming with rampant, ravenous monsters that crave his very soul. Our champion plunges deeper, his sole guide that fragile candle, as a colossal, shadowy mass coalesces from the suffocating gloom, its predatory eyes fixed on its prey. But Laika's spirit is unbreakable. His eyes narrow, twin blades of sheer determination, confronting the monumental terror of his assignments. And here's the twist. The second, equally impossible mandate. The sacred flame of that candle must never be extinguished. Not a flicker, not a single dying spark. Suddenly, a colossal, nightmare-fueled purple centipede materializes. Its ancient mind thrums with an internal, calculating hum, pondering its next devastating move. If that defiant flame dares to burn itself into oblivion, Laika faces not just failure, but utter defeat. His quest, his very purpose, evaporates. But Laika is no coward. He explodes into action, a blur of pure kinetic energy, unleashing a devastating attack that rips through the very air. His thunderous assault connects with unimaginable swiftness, a blow that shatters silence and reverberates with raw power. He drives his fury deeper, relentlessly pushing his assault as the monstrous abomination recoils violently, a testament to Laika's overwhelming force. Laika's face, a mask of grim determination, betrays the crushing exhaustion gnawing at his core. A single drop of sweat, a bead of pure effort, races down his temple, screaming of the monumental struggle. With an iron grip, he clasps the fragile candle. And then a miracle. The flame explodes outwards, flaring with an unnatural, blistering intensity. You won't believe this. That tiny flame devours Laika's own precious power, using his very essence as its merciless fuel. Our hero, under unimaginable pressure, executes a delicate dance of control. He hones his focus, envisioning his power as a raging torrent, desperately striving to narrow its flow, to stem the bleeding of his life force. His determined, strained face screams of the unbearable mental agony, the absolute concentration required to master his own surging power. He fights a desperate battle against himself, striving to calm the storm within, to stabilize his volatile, earth-shattering abilities. Then, a breath of triumphant relief escapes his lips. He succeeds. His power, once chaotic, is now firmly under his dominion. His powers stabilized, Laika stands once more, a solitary figure in the now hauntingly blue-lit cavern, his candle a constant, burning testament to his will. He surveys his treacherous surroundings, a heavy, tired sigh escaping his lips, knowing the battle is far from over. But the clock is ticking, people. A death knell of a bell is set to shatter the silence throughout this entire cave system. Precisely 3 days from now. Laika's face contorts with raw shock and primal worry. The implications are catastrophic. New, terrifying instructions materialize from the very air. He must continue his impossible vigil, protecting that fragile flame until the moment the bell of fate rings. And what does the dim light reveal? A horde of grotesque abominations. Spiky purple creatures with eyes of pure malice, squirming worms of dread, and screeching bat creatures that darken the very air. They are legion. The spiky purple nightmare emerges from the shadows, its glowing yellow eyes burning with hunger, its drooling maw dripping with venomous anticipation. Laika grimaces, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated resolve, as raw energy shimmers and cracks around his form, a storm brewing. If he triumphs, if that flame endures, the ultimate prize awaits. He will be formally inducted, a legend reborn, into the revered, elite ranks of the Night Order. But beware. A jagged bolt of pure, devastating light cleaves the very fabric of the dark background, a chilling omen. Because if he fails to shield that sacred ember, an unholy deluge of grotesque, multi-legged horrors swarms the desolate landscape, bathed in an ominous, pulsating purple light. Failure isn't an option, people. Failure means death. A brutal, agonizing, and absolute demise. The air crackles with chaotic energy. Monstrous shadows dance with predatory glee, and Luca, overwhelmed by the sheer impossibility of it all, roars into the abyss. This task is impossible. A mystical webbed blue lizard materializes on a serene azure surface, signaling the arrival of something profound. But hold on, the environment teems with an array of bizarre creatures, their forms twisting reality itself. Enter Kieran, captivated by a pulsating, circular blue holographic display, his gaze dissecting its every secret. Yet, a stark contrast emerges as Kenneth, sweat beading on his brow, shoots a look of raw, unadulterated concern towards Luca. Kieran's mind races, convinced this impossible task is a death sentence, far too soon for his current power. He shrewdly deduces the commander's outrageous decision serves only to appease the ravenous demands of the Order's elites. Gavin, meanwhile, stands frozen, his expression a mask of grim, unsettling resolve. But wait, Kieran's thoughts take a sharp, unexpected turn. His vision narrows, every fiber of his being locked onto the unfolding drama. He plunges into an abyss of strategic contemplation. Then, a flicker of doubt, a momentary pause in his relentless calculations. You won't believe it, but a potent premonition courses through Kieran. Luca, against all odds, will triumph. Now, back in the chamber, Kieran and Kenneth face each other across the shimmering hologram, Kenneth's face etched with utter shock. Suddenly, Luca is ensnared, suspended midair, bound by an unseen, crushing force. His face contorts, a primal scream of agony and exertion ripping through him. He knows, with absolute certainty, that 3 days of caution equals 3 days of being ruthlessly cornered, destined for defeat. No more hesitation. Luca's mind hardens, a furious resolve to unleash his power. His eye blazes with terrifying intensity as he ignites an ancient, formidable power within. The monstrous hordes, caught off guard by this sudden surge, recoil in terror, their cavernous mouths agape. Luca decides, the candle flame will not just be big, it will be a gargantuan inferno, an impossible beacon of destruction. This colossal flame rages, an irresistible magnet for every abominable creature in the vicinity. His objective? To drag every single, twisted monster directly into his deadly embrace. Luca's face twists into an aggressive snarl, his voice a thunderous declaration. He will decimate every foe, all at once. Engulfed in his own destructive aura, Luca stands at the epicenter, a colossal creature lunging, ready to crush him under its brutal might. Then, a deafening scream rips through the air, as Luca unleashes an earth-shattering explosion of raw power. His unleashed power manifests, scattering the colossal monsters like discarded toys. A cataclysmic explosion consumes the entire, sprawling landscape. Luca, the architect of this devastation, stands unyielding at its absolute epicenter. The inferno contracts, revealing an intensely bright, pulsating core of pure, unadulterated energy. It radiates, no, it dominates with an immense, terrifying power. The explosive energy shatters, fragmenting outwards with blinding speed, carving streaks and razor-sharp shards of destruction across the ravaged world. These deadly energy shards themselves continue to detonate, showering the landscape in a relentless storm of chaotic power. But wait, through the searing devastation emerges the legendary Purple Torch Man, carving a path of fiery glory across a volcanic hellscape. His candlelit journey slices through jagged obsidian and rivers of molten lava, an impossible trek. Luca, still in the thick of it, grits his teeth, his face a testament to unyielding determination and raw, agonizing exertion. He roars, a defiant challenge echoing across the scorched earth. What do you think of this, pathetic foes? Back with our observers, Kieran stands shoulder to shoulder with Kenneth. Kenneth's face is a canvas of grim concern as they witness this apocalyptic display. Kenneth's mind churns, a chilling thought. Could Luca's all-out monster annihilation strategy be a direct affront to the trial's ultimate, hidden purpose? Yet, Luca stands defiant, a lone titan amidst the fiery cavern. Kieran's eyes widen, a storm of comprehension brewing in their depths as he processes the unimaginable. He gasps, utterly astounded. This impossible strategy, it might actually succeed. His gaze penetrates the chaos, every particle of his being dedicated to profound thought. But just as quickly, Kieran's mind is violently reset, a sudden, horrifying realization dawning. He stomps the ground, a shallow pool erupting in a violent splash, mirroring the turmoil in his soul. An icy dread washes over him. Something is fundamentally, catastrophically wrong. He is absolutely, devastatingly shocked. That overwhelming, terrifying power, it's here. His mind screams in denial. No, it cannot be real. This cannot be happening. And Gavin, through it all, maintains that unyielding, stern, and utterly chilling expression, knowing something others don't. Kieran's gaze, sharp and unyielding, locks onto a chilling realization. Luca, pushed to his absolute limits, clutches his flickering candle, each breath a desperate gasp in the suffocating darkness. He's fighting for every single moment of existence. He's already decimated countless abominations, yet now, his very survival hinges on this tiny, fragile flame. He must conserve it, squeeze 3 more agonizing days from its dwindling light. But wait. He stares, transfixed, as the candle's brave glow trembles, threatening to surrender to the encroaching shadows. Its power, its very essence, dwindles before his eyes. Then, a pulse of pure energy. A faint laser beam slices through the oppressive gloom, a harbinger of cataclysmic change, ripping through the silence. This isn't just light, it's a warning. His expression contorts into pure, unadulterated alarm. The very air around him begins to crackle, to hum with an escalating, monstrous energy. It's building, coiling, ready to strike. And then a colossal, devastating blast detonates directly behind him, ripping through the fabric of reality itself. He's rocked to his core, staring in utter, horrifying shock. What in the world just happened? His eyes, wide with a potent cocktail of fear and utter disbelief, track the surging, swirling tempest of energy that now absolutely dominates his surroundings. It's consuming everything. But Luca, a warrior to his core, pivots instantly. He adopts a battle stance, prepared to unleash his fury. What looms before him? A monstrous, colossal leg and foot, belonging to a nightmare made manifest, Berserk. Out of the consuming void, Berserk roars into existence, its mechanical whirring a prelude to devastation, a symphony of destruction. This titan fully materializes, a terrifying construct of pure power, adorned with a terrifying arsenal of multiple, gleaming swords. Each blade promises absolute annihilation. Its very being pulsates with the relentless, aggressive clang of impending battle, a chilling soundtrack to its emergence. Luca, momentarily stunned, gazes up, a flicker of raw confusion on his face as he takes in the utterly overwhelming sight of this mechanical leviathan, its countless swords poised for slaughter. But Kieran knows. His gaze drills down, an intense, chilling realization gripping him. There is no mistake, no misidentification. This is the real deal. He declares the horrifying truth. This engine of destruction is Berserk, the ultimate weapon, forged by the very hands of the Night Order. A weapon of unimaginable power. And bam, without hesitation, Berserk unleashes a searing, concentrated laser beam, a spear of pure light and death, hurtling directly at Luca. Luca, fueled by sheer instinct, throws himself aside, barely evading total obliteration. The shockwave of its passing ripples through his very soul. Here's the terrifying reveal, ladies and gentlemen. Berserk isn't just any threat. It is the pinnacle of annihilation, the anti-monster subjugation weapon, designed to crush, dominate, and erase everything in its path. This is an epic-level threat. Kieran's voice absolutely explodes through the comms device, a raw, primal scream of pure aggression. He demands answers, his fury barely contained. Did Gavin unleash an experimental monster weapon for a test run, an ultimate beast of destruction? What in the cosmic abyss was Gavin thinking? Kieran's question reverberates with an intensity that could shatter steel. Meanwhile, Gavin receives this hurricane of a phone call. But witness his composure, his terrifying calm. His eyes remain closed, a serene mask concealing unthinkable power. He dismisses Kieran's rage with a chilling, "Do not be ridiculous." The audacity. Gavin, with an almost cosmic indifference, begins to lay out his master plan, his chilling rationale. He reveals it's just a prototype test, a mere experiment, and this colossal forest, this entire ecosystem, is merely convenient for his twisted design. And the cave where Kieran is currently trapped. Just a minor detail, conveniently close to the chaotic experiment. The disrespect is palpable. Kieran, still reeling from the shockwave of that call, is practically vibrating with white-hot frustration. Gavin's casual, almost dismissive explanation of unleashing a weapon of mass destruction is simply unbelievable. It's an insult to reason itself. Gavin's voice, a chilling echo of absolute authority, projects through the comms, laying down brutal conditions for this unseen trial. He issues a chilling command. Do not dare rush in to help. This test, Gavin declares, demands the endurance of every single difficulty, every single shred of unfairness. And out there, Luca, our hero, struggles against the insurmountable odds. The declaration from Gavin is a hammer blow. If Luca cannot conquer this brutal trial, he fails. They have no need for weakness, only absolute, unyielding power. Kieran's internal fury reaches critical mass, a silent scream of impotent rage. His teeth grind, a testament to the colossal pressure building within him. He confirms his understanding, a raw, guttural agreement, just as a chilling beep echoes from the device. And then, after securing Kieran's begrudging compliance, Gavin allows a subtle, knowing smirk to twist his lips. He knew. But suddenly, a gentle knock disrupts Gavin's chilling reverie. He looks up, his expression a neutral mask, addressing the unseen visitor. And who is it? None other than Fran, standing at the doorway, a tray bearing a teacup and pot, a warm smile gracing her face. A jarring juxtaposition. She steps forward, a vision of calm amidst Gavin's storm. Fran presents the tea before Gavin's imposing desk, a peculiar scene. Gavin's eyes narrow, his mind racing. Why is a branch head, a person of immense power, acting as a mere servant? Fran's reply is utterly baffling. It's just a hobby. A hobby. The layers of intrigue are piling up. She then asks Gavin the ultimate question for any tea connoisseur. How much sugar? Gavin's response is blunt, decisive, none. Pure, unadulterated power, even in his tea. He sips the tea, the calm before the storm, provided by the enigmatic Fran. She remains a silent, attentive presence beside him. Fran, with a knowing smile, observes Gavin's surprisingly good mood. What secrets does she possess? Gavin sips from the stark white cup, his mind a whirlwind of strategic thought, pondering Fran's keen observation. He muses internally. No, he is certainly not in a bad mood. A terrifying realization. His thoughts drift to organizations, to power structures, to the very fabric of existence. Gavin concludes that having fewer concerns is always superior, a philosophy of ruthless efficiency. But then bam! The scene shifts. A mirror suddenly reveals Luca, caught in an explosive action pose, absolutely engulfed by blinding, deadly laser beams. Meanwhile, Pink One-Eye's colossal white orb gleams with an unholy light, sensing a powerful, universe-shattering event unfolding. Its entire being contorts with a sharp, piercing sound, a primal shriek of reaction to the sheer energy. It's Berserk, the ultimate weapon, absolutely unleashing torrents of devastating laser beams at our struggling hero, Luca. Luca, airborne, twists and contorts, desperately evading the searing, obliterating attack. He recoils from a colossal explosion that rips through the very air around him, a shockwave of pure destruction. But wait, Luca, fueled by pure, unadulterated frustration, channels an insane surge of intense energy into his hand, forging a potent, pulsating orb of raw power. He prepares a devastating counterattack. He aggressively launches that cataclysmic energy blast forward, a blinding torrent of destruction erupting from the glowing object in his hand. He defies fate itself. Luca's powerful attack erupts with such immense force, such earth-shattering power, it completely engulfs the entire area. The very fabric of reality trembles. The colossal explosion continues its relentless devastation, swallowing everything in its path. And then, the impossible happens. Berserk, the seemingly invincible, takes a direct, pulverizing hit. Luca's hand still faintly glows, a residual hum of unimaginable power, as he dares to wonder about the outcome, the sheer impact of his ultimate blow. But his expression shatters. He looks utterly shocked, profoundly confused. His face contorts into a mask of extreme distress and raw, visceral fear. A brutal cut mars his cheek, a stark reminder of the ultimate danger. He attempts to speak, to scream, to unleash his terror, but only a choked, horrifying sound escapes his lips. What just happened? This is the ultimate cliffhanger. Berserk dominates the smoke-filled battlefield. Its four blades, razor-sharp and gleaming, stand utterly unscathed, defying the devastating assault with a chilling robotic hum. Leica stares, his mind reeling. How does Bergerac still stand triumphant? You can see the despair twisting Leica's face. His efforts, his unleashed power, are failing, and he's questioning everything. Then, a horrifying sight. Leica's sacred candle, his source of raw power, flickers weakly, screaming a catastrophic loss of energy. It flickers again and again, its formidable power draining away into nothingness. He pleads with the dying flame, desperate for it to hold, to be careful. Suddenly, blindingly sharp laser beams shred the air, streaking forward with lethal aggression. Leica braces himself, unleashing a fierce defense that shatters the impact, a guttural cry of pure effort tearing from his throat. He locks in, his focus razor-sharp, every fiber of his being concentrated. With unbelievable speed, Leica slashes through the battlefield, evading the onslaught of attacks. His mind races. No more candles can be sacrificed. The stakes are too high. His teeth are gritted so hard they might shatter, his face a mask of strained agony. He realizes even his devastating flame attacks are draining him to his core. Yes, even his signature flame attacks are bleeding him dry. He dances through death, dodging multiple laser beams as they decimate the ground just inches from his boots. A moment of desperate doubt flashes as he questions his very existence, fearing his efforts might be futile. But wait, in a shocking move, Leica plummets through the ground, vanishing from sight. From the depths, he stares intensely upwards, his eyes burning with unseen intent. Above, Bergerac stands like a colossus of doom on a perilous ledge, menacingly observing the descent, letting out a piercing, mechanical shriek. Leica's mind is a whirlwind of strategy, intensely searching for the fatal flaw, a holographic interface projecting his ultimate combat stance. His teeth grind together with unyielding determination, a silent vow of unbreakable will. He stands, a solitary figure of defiance, in a vast, desolate, apocalyptic landscape. He glances up, wondering what new horror is unfolding. The question burns in his mind. Why isn't it attacking him now? But then, Leica himself, the scarred white man, takes a deliberate, earth-shaking step into this blazing, infernal landscape. Suddenly, Leica flinches violently as a blinding laser beam slams into the ground right before him. He is utterly reeling in shock. The ground explodes from the impact, violently erupting, sending lethal shards and blinding dust shredding through the air. Leica observes the apocalyptic aftermath, his mind rewiring completely, rethinking the very nature of this brutal engagement. He hyperanalyzes, a chilling thought striking him. Are Bergerac's attacks sensing his every move? With the analysis complete, Leica unleashes a powerful, ground-shattering move, disrupting the Earth itself to ignite his new, devastating strategy. His face, hardened with determination and burning with newfound understanding, he declares his intention to launch a devastating counterattack. But wait, the red tentacle robot dramatically, terrifyingly powers up, its form humming with raw, destructive energy. Bergerac unleashes a searing laser beam directly forward, more destructive energy radiating from its malevolent mechanical form. Leica braces himself, his stance unyielding, his determination fiercer than any flame against this monumental assault. Here's the twist. Leica is snared in midair, crushed by Bergerac's constricting limbs, but even now, his mind races, forging a new, desperate approach. Then, from seemingly nowhere, Leica unleashes a powerful, decisive, game-changing move. Bergerac retaliates with a vengeful, massive, widespread blast from its central core. A destructive wave of pure force engulfs the entire area, eradicating everything. But Leica answers with a powerful, reality-shattering slash. This decisive counterattack tears Bergerac apart, dismembering the mechanical monster. He moves with precision, tilting his very being, already forging a brilliant strategy to turn the enemy's own destructive beams against itself. And then, Leica unleashes a violent, earth-shattering torrent of force downwards, impacting an unseen target with immeasurable, crushing power. Leica screams a primal roar, his eyes narrowed blades of pure fury, as he channels a devastating torrent of raw force downwards. He relentlessly drives his powerful, earth-shattering attack, slamming it with absolute, destructive impact onto Bergerac. But Leica isn't finished. He raises a hand, instantly forging an energy weapon that swirls and crackles around his arm, preparing for another devastating, reality-bending strike. Bergerac's internal mechanisms are shattered, exposed wires sparking wildly, emitting distressed, mournful wails of pure malfunction. Leica stands victorious, a colossal figure of triumph, absolutely dominating the defeated Berserk. And now, the ultimate revelation. Berserk's core is laid bare, a pulsating heart of wreckage, wires sparking within its broken metallic structure. The true extent of the devastation is shocking. But Luca, ever the strategic genius, wears a mask of unyielding determination, his hand resting on his chin in profound contemplation. A moment of silence, then boom. Luca makes a decision, a choice that will reverberate through the very fabric of reality. After such an apocalyptic clash, even a titan like Luca shows a hint of weariness, his face reflected in a mirror, its golden floral design a stark contrast to the brutal battlefield. But the story shifts. Now we dive into the shadows where Gavin stands, a shadowy enigma in a dimly lit room. His face, a canvas of strained, terrifying intensity as raw, volatile energy surrounds his very head, pulsing with unfathomable power. As Gavin unleashes this mind-bending display of energy, Fran watches, her expression a mix of sheer surprise and awestruck admiration. She turns to Luca, speaking words of pure astonishment. Gavin, ever the master of hidden depths, offers a subtle reaction to Fran, who gazes on, her face alight with happiness and profound impressment. Then, Gavin plunges into a moment of stony silence, his thoughts a whirlwind of strategic brilliance. His devastating conclusion? This weapon, this absolute game-changer, still demands further, absolute perfection. Cut to Gavin, now holding a simple white cup. His eyes, sharp as a predator's, fixate on Fran's hand as she offers a bowl of gleaming sugar cubes. And then, the casual remark about the sugar, a chilling normalcy amidst the chaos. Fran, with meticulous care, presents the individual sugar cubes, each one a testament to controlled detail. The cubes plummet, breaking the surface, sending miniature explosions of liquid erupting. A hand, precise and deliberate, then stirs the swirling liquid with a spoon. Gavin sips, a man in absolute control, as Fran stands beaming, radiating pure happiness beside him. But the pleasantries end. Gavin issues a command. Fran must depart. A head branch cannot afford to be idle, he decrees. Fran, with a respectful nod and a pleased expression, vanishes. Gavin remains, his cup now a symbol of his chilling reflections. His every move, merely insurance, a calculated gamble for an unseen future. And his final, bone-chilling thought? No one, absolutely no one, walks out of that cave alive. Then a close-up. Gavin's intense eye is framed, a window into a calculating, dangerous soul. And in a final, dismissive swipe of verbal power, he labels Luca a mere brat. The audacity. Day 3 of the trial of the Guardian Flame absolutely rages on, and Luca, a mere husk of his former self, hunches in the crushing darkness, each breath a desperate, audible gasp. He clutches a solitary candle, its tiny flame a fragile beacon against the encroaching despair. The bell, the promised herald of relief, remains utterly silent, and Luca's mind races. Is this the end? Is this the trial's terrifying conclusion? Or is something far more sinister about to unfold? His limits, he knows, have been stretched beyond their breaking point, his endurance nearly shattered. But wait, a flicker of raw dread ignites his thoughts. Luca remembers the monster's flesh, the gruesome remnants of a battle fought moments ago. He stares into the abyssal gloom, convinced he sees a grotesque fleshy blob move. You won't believe it. A sickening pwop sound erupts from the darkness as one of those repulsive blobs distinctly pops on the surface. Luca's face contorts in frantic horror, confirming his most terrifying suspicions were not a nightmare, but a chilling reality. The flesh, an unholy tide, is undeniably getting closer. Below him, countless red, expanding, bubbling masses writhe with repulsive blorp sounds. This isn't just a monster's remains. This is the creature itself, regenerating, surging with vile power. One blob merges, then another, making a grotesque plop, as the flesh rapidly surges together, stretching with an unholy elasticity. What happens next will absolutely shock you. In a sickening display of biological horror, the coalescing flesh forms a gnarled purple, tree-like monstrosity. Its tips glow with malevolent energy, and it unleashes guttural sounds that vibrate through the very air. Luca stares, his mind reeling in shock and alarm. This beast isn't just expanding, it's regenerating with impossible speed, fueled by an unknown power. Confusion battles with disbelief on Luca's face as he grapples with the abomination before him. How is this even possible? He realizes the cavern's magic power is too dense, a raw, untamed force fueling this regeneration. Laika's frustration erupts into an anguished cry, demanding to know where the bell is. In a desperate surge of conviction, Laika and Kieran suddenly appear. Laika grasps a fundamental truth. He must await that elusive bell to escape this living tomb, convinced he can survive as long as his precious candle's flame endures. But that belief shatters as he urgently realizes he must escape, now. From the abyssal depths, a shadowy monster reveals itself, its glowing blue eye piercing the suffocating darkness. And it's not alone. Numerous monsters erupt from the shadows, swarming, surrounding him. Laika sprints through the dimly lit cavern, clutching his small, lit candle, its tiny flame a monumental burden. He knows, with chilling certainty, that if even a single monstrous limb brushes against that fragile light, his existence will be extinguished. Now, he's completely ensnared. The advancing horde of grotesque creatures forms an inescapable wall around him. Laika clutches the candle, his knuckles white, his mind screaming. Hold on. His face is a mask of strained, gritting determination. Then, a monstrous shark-like creature, its teeth honed for pure destruction, lunges forward, leading the charge. But just as all hope seems lost, a blinding light erupts from the very end of the long, oppressive cave. Laika is instantly alerted, a raw spark of desperation igniting within him. He takes a devastating impact, a vicious blow that sends blood spurting from his back, but his grip on the candle never wavers. Through the searing pain and shocking agony, he looks up, his eyes locking onto the light. This is it. This is the exit. Laika grimaces, enduring another brutal attack, his body screaming in protest, visible injuries marring his form. He struggles, fighting with every atom of his being, refusing to fall. Just a little more, he grits out, pushing through the agonizing pain. His hand, trembling with raw effort, strains, reaches out, clawing towards the end of the cave. He's reaching for it. He's reaching for the outside. Laika's vision explodes with alarm. A thunderous shout demands he hit the deck. He slams to the ground just as an unleashed, raw force detonates, engulfing the recoiling monstrosities. They vanish, obliterated from existence. The air crackles with residual power as the shattered remains of the defeated horrors rain down, dissolving into nothingness. Laika fights to rise, his face a mask of pure distress. But there, towering before him, stands Kieran. Laika's gaze, heavy with resignation, meets Kieran's as the ultimate decree echoes. Your time, it is over. Kieran dominates the battlefield, a figure of pure triumph over the fallen Laika. Laika remains pinned to the earth, his mind reeling, desperately processing the brutal truth. Is this the end? Kieran's gaze, sharp as a blade, pierces down at Laika. A raw, agonized sound escapes Laika's lips as his back gushes with fresh, crimson blood. The wounds are brutal. Kieran's voice, cold and absolute, confirms it. Yes, it is over. Then, in a shocking turn, Kieran supports the severely broken Laika, acknowledging the unyielding spirit that fueled his endurance. But the gravity of his injuries is too immense. Laika's eyes finally succumb, closing against the pain. Suddenly, Laika's eyes snap open. Shock courses through him. He jolts awake, discovering himself perched upon an opulent, golden throne within a colossal, empty chamber. What unfathomable power brought him here? His expression is utter bewilderment as his mind races to comprehend the sheer mystery of this domain. Then, with a jolt of understanding, the truth hits him. This is the sacred ceremonial chamber. And there, commanding attention before him, stands the formidable Arthur. Her gaze cuts straight ahead, a subtle, knowing smile playing on her lips, hinting at unseen power. A confident smirk dominates Arthur's face as Laika's voice dares to pierce the silence, calling her name. The chamber ignites with ethereal light, revealing a solemn, powerful ceremonial gathering. The tension is palpable. Arthur's voice booms, heralding the commencement of something monumental. The sacred declaration reverberates, the rite of passage, the trial of the guardian flame. It has begun. The very air trembles with the overwhelming power of this pronouncement. Arthur commands the legendary Sacred Order of Knights, unleashing the next, pivotal stage of this ancient ceremony. They shall unveil their sacred vows and legendary arms, proving their unyielding trust to Laika, the new recruit. What power will be revealed? Then a lightning-fast, razor-sharp action rips through the air. A gleaming spear impales the very ground. It is Kieran, captain of the unstoppable 9th Division. His vow, to never form a family, a sacrifice forged in steel. Next, Fran rises with fierce pride, introducing herself as the dominant captain of the unyielding 2nd Division. Her vow, to forever forsake food, an iron will powering her existence. A piercing, scratching sound shatters the silence. Kenneth emerges, wielding a menacing, glowing green pistol. He is Kenneth, vice captain of the mighty 2nd Division. His vow, to never utter a lie, his truth an unbreakable weapon. Then Grift advances, his expression grim and resolute. He is Grift, captain of the ferocious 4th Division. His vow, to dedicate his very right arm to God, a testament to ultimate devotion. And now, Jack steps forward, introducing himself as Jack, vice captain of the relentless 6th Division. His vow, to maintain his purity for life, an unwavering commitment. Like mind reels. This is utterly astonishing. Then, Gavin takes center stage, wielding an ornate, ancient shield. He is Gavin, vice commander of the legendary Sacred Order itself. His vow, to never succumb to sleep, his vigilance eternal, his power unending. Gavin halts, a dramatic pause hanging in the air, poised to unleash the true nature of his enigmatic shield. His solemn, terrifying vow, to never, ever forgive betrayal against the Sacred Order. A merciless judgment. Now, Arthur commands the stage, beginning her own powerful introduction by stating her name. She continues, asserting her supreme, prestigious title, commander of the entire legendary Sacred Order. And then, Arthur unleashes a declaration about her own earth-shattering vow.